This is Adelaide's FIVEaa.
Showers and 13 today with the 6 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience. With 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
There's an Adelaide link to a major operation that's being billed as the nation's biggest police bust. 4,000 officers and investigators and an app have been involved in Operation Ironside over 3 years, targeting the criminal underworld. More than 100 people have been charged, over 3,500 kilos of drugs and $35 million in cash seized, and dozens of firearms confiscated. Locally, 6 men have been charged, police raiding an alleged safe house in Adelaide run by the rebels. Australia's vaccine rollout continues to ramp up, with over 40s eligible for the COVID injection from today. Nine's Michael Packy reports.
Just over 5 million doses of the COVID vaccine have been administered since the start of the rollout in February. Most have gone to frontline health and hotel quarantine workers, along with aged care residents. From today, more people will be offered the shot, including all over 40s, Indigenous people, those on the National Disability Insurance Scheme and their carers. The vaccine will also be extended to temporary visa holders aged under 50. The federal government says supplies are increasing and people are being urged to get their injection as soon as they can.
The Royal Adelaide Hospital issued an internal disaster code yesterday due to overcrowding. It meant ambulances were ramped outside and patients queued waiting for a bed. Salaried Medical Officers Association's Bernadette Mulholland says the government must act.
It impacts on the clinicians, fatigue, burnout, stress, anxiety, but it also impacts on the confidence of the community and our patients in our health services. And we really need to turn the ship around and improve our hospital services and make sure that people can access them in a timely way and that our hospital system is not overwhelmed.
The trial of 4 men accused over the shooting down of flight MH17 in Ukraine, which killed 38 Australians, has now reached a crucial stage. Nine's Ben Avery reports from London.
Almost 7 years since Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 was shot down, the relatives of the 298 people on board the Boeing 777 are edging closer to justice. In a Dutch court, the trial of 3 Russians and a Ukrainian accused of involvement is now at the merits phase, where key evidence will be discussed. Today, the judges outlined the schedule for the coming days and also made a decision that families of the victims will be allowed to address the court in September. They include Australian-based relatives who, under COVID-19 travel rules, will need to apply for special permission to leave the country to attend.
A controversial drug for the early phases of Alzheimer's disease, the first in almost 20 years, has been approved in the United States. Trials were halted in 2019 after results clearly showed it produced no benefits. Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine's Professor Caleb Alexander is startled by the announcement.
I think the jury is still out regarding this product. There's a remarkable amount of uncertainty regarding the totality of evidence as to whether it truly is effective.
And the Munsters are heading to the big screen. A new movie based on the 60s sitcom has been announced. Now to FIVEaa Sport.
3 words make a big difference to our local dairy farmers. Flurio Milk Company. In your supermarket now.
And it's good morning to Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Mel. There is still no final confirmation. Port Adelaide will be playing against Geelong on Thursday night at Adelaide Oval. But the league is confident it will go ahead as scheduled at 7:10pm. Meantime, there's also some doubt on whether the Crows will play against St Kilda in Cairns. It's been a tough week for Adelaide after being hit with a $50,000 fine for COVID breaches. CEO Tim Silvers telling Rowie they just need to cop it.
We were disappointed in our actions and we let ourselves down, and we own that. We own the error, and it's an error from top to bottom of the club. So we've accepted a big penalty and we'll address it internally. I think we're a lot better than that, and we let ourselves down, unfortunately.
Meantime, Fremantle defender Nathan Wilson has been hit with a 1-match suspension for a low blow to the groin of Bulldog Cody Waitman. The match review officer assessing the incident as intentional conduct and low impact. To soccer, and Australia is currently leading Chinese Taipei 4-1 in their World Cup qualifier. The Socceroos currently sit on top of their group, and a win is likely to see them assured of progression to the next stage of qualifying. Rafael Nadal is through to the quarterfinals of the French Open after winning in straight sets against Yannick Sinner. Novak Djokovic, meantime, had to fight back from 2 sets down against Italian Lorenzo Musetti to progress. And the New South Wales and Queensland sides will train today ahead of Origin 1 tomorrow night. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Switch and save on car service and repairs with Service Now Pay Later options. Call 1300 Automasters.
Showers and 13 today, a morning shower or two tomorrow 14, Thursday cloudy and 16. Right now it's 7 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Buy 3, get 1 free and instant cashback on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6:06, good morning to you. Welcome to Tuesday on 5AA Breakfast. Coming up on the program this morning, we're going to be talking a little bit about the weather. We'll get you across what's happened in the last 24 hours. Prepare you for what's coming up, because what's coming up is the coldest forecast day since winter last year. Max just of 13, as you've just heard in 5AA News with Mel Asher. Phil Curry on the program. We'll chat with Sherry Markson on the Wuhan lab leak theory that gained a whole bunch of legs when emails to Dr. Anthony Fauci were revealed in the United States that showed that right in the heart of the trusted science in the United States was a belief that there was something here that was abnormal and did not look like it had come about as a result of the natural evolution of viruses. So we'll talk about that in depth after 8 o'clock. And also today, Alan Cumming, the head of the Cabaret Festival, he's in town. I think last couple of times we've spoken to him, he's been stuck in Europe or the United States and a whole host of other places here in town for the Cabaret Festival. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. Keep warm. That would be my advice. Will and I are both rugged up today. I'm not often a wearer of jumpers, neither are you.
You're not a jumper guy, are you?
No, but we're both in here today. I went into Trims yesterday. This is brand new.
Oh, excellent.
What do you think of that?
That's
pretty special.
Very trendy.
Love shopping at Trims. You just go in there, get a park out the front, walk in, get served straight away.
Have you worn back-to-back new outfits this week?
I have. It's very exciting, isn't it?
I understand. You asked me if I had a new jumper on today.
Well, you had something on yesterday.
I had something new on. You were trying to. You've beaten me.
Have you done your annual shopping trip?
No.
Mine's more biannual.
No.
Twice, once every 2 years. Biennial?
Biennial? Yeah.
Biennial.
Yeah, I always get that one wrong. I'm not gonna go there.
I'll
avoid the word.
There's consensus on it.
I had the shopping experience that I think it's the I know it's not the done thing to gender stereotype these days, but I think it was the quintessential husband and wife shopping experience. We were wandering through Harbour.
She enjoyed it, you didn't.
Well, wandering through Harbour Town on the weekend to get some specific stuff, some camping stuff, because we're meant to be going camping on our break in the middle of the year. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, for a couple of days up in the Northern Territory, and we were buying. But on the way to whatever the store is there, Anaconda or Kathmandu, whatever it is,
at Mile End.
Not the Homemaker Centre one, the one at doesn't matter, Harbour Town. But you have to navigate the gauntlet of fashion and clothing shops.
Oh, that place is terrifying.
So I went in about 3, and then by the 4th one, I went, I'm out. So I went and sat in the man waiting area, which is the seats in the middle all the time.
The man waiting area. And the sad man waiting area.
Me and a couple other sad blokes just sitting there looking at our phones and staring at the sky. And then out came a new top for me. Which is always when the work gets done. It's when I disappear, because I'm always like, I don't need a new jumper, I don't need a new T-shirt.
I get it picked out for you.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Because
never happened to me.
I say no to everything. My instant reaction is always, I think you need a pair of shoes. Nope. I do not. But you've had the same ones for 10 years.
And
getting
ready to go to a wedding with your big toe sticking out of your shoe.
I hate getting new stuff.
Yeah, no, it's more just... But there's ways you can do it that are incredibly quick.
I think you've cracked it. Speed is
See, the thing
I
like about a place like Trims is, and this is why in the past, back in the day when I was living in Sydney, I always drive back home for Christmas to see my folks and with my ex-wife, see her folks. I used to like shopping in regional areas. There's a place in Mildura called Ransom's Menswear.
Oh, right.
And often we'd stay in Mildura, and I'd go, I might just sneak down to Ransom's, because the floor space, the square meterage of Ransom's and the range is pretty much identical to a shop like Trims.
Yep.
And on top of that, you've got the two genial shop assistants, one of whom is an older lady who's been doing it for years, knows her stuff, knows where everything is, not overbearing. None of this inane chit-chat you get. You know, some shops you walk in, it's like, oh, you got any plans for the weekend? It's like, sorry, are we friends? I'm just trying to buy some socks. You know, so you don't get that in-your-face sort of, you know, or really, you know, that sort of millennial sort of over-familiarity or indifference.
Yep.
There's a happy medium between the two, and that's where these people who have devoted their lives to retail are, you know, they just master the art of service. But, yeah, I feel that a place like Trim's, you feel like you're in a country town.
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that. We do this. It's worthy to mention. This is day 2 of our regional spotlight today, and this is precisely what everyone at 5AA did. Went out and got into the region, spoke to businesses, worked out how we could all work together and do more beyond the limits of the city. So we'll have the regional spotlight day 2 coming up a little bit later today to talk about more of those sorts of businesses. Gee, the rain came down yesterday.
Did it ever?
So.
But it came in fits and starts.
It did, didn't it?
Like it felt like we had about 3 megablasts. We had some hail late afternoon, not massive hail.
Yeah, we had a little
hail.
bit of hail.
It wasn't big. Don't even think it cracked half a centimetre in diameter. But it didn't feel like sustained rain where we were.
No, you're right. It came down.
We haven't moved.
12.4 at West Terrace is the official measurement for Adelaide. At the airport, it was a bit less than that, 7.2 out in the western suburbs. Edinburgh, 8.4. Then up at Kaipo, 23.2 mils of rain. That was the highest level recorded outside of Mount Lofty, which was 25.2. So here in the hills, it was probably felt a little more consistent over the course of the day. Newry got 16.2 out in wine country. Then you've got Parafield 11.6, Roseworthy 11.4, and Strathalbyn got about 14 mils of rain. Today they've revised it down a little bit. There won't be as much rain about the place, but we'll get all the official details from the Weather Bureau very, very shortly. 12 after 6, jump on the 5AA Facebook or YouTube live stream. You can see David's latest outfit. And we've got news headlines coming up in just a moment.
Whether you're a sparky, a chippy, a fiery, or a bikey, whether they call you curly, tubby, or tiny, whether next door means a few feet or a few miles, we know the weather's harsh in South Australia. But Olympic Industries carports, verandas and sheds are tougher than most. And if they're strong enough in the country, they'll be strong enough in the city. For a limited time, you can save heaps across the entire range. Olympic Industries end of financial year sale. Built to last.
When you die, who gets what? Will your kids or relatives argue over your estate? Will your beneficiaries be protected? Will your estate be tax effective? Will your wishes be respected and carried out? Speak with Donlan Lawyers now for peace of mind. Donlan Lawyers for wills and estate planning. Visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com.
G'day, it's Eddie May from NRG Solar. I'm no fortune teller, but if you don't have solar on your roof, I can tell you your next power bill is going to be huge. There's a price for keeping warm all winter and you're about to pay it. Stop paying huge bills. Get in touch with NRG Solar and from just $59 a fortnight, you could have a quality NRG solar system on your roof. From just $59 a fortnight, you could wipe out your power bills. Visit nrgsolar.com.au today.
Houston, we are about to make contact with Australia. The Eagle has landed.
US Managed Healthcare has landed in Australia with the joint venture between NIB and American giant Cigna Health Corporation. Australians do not want US Managed Healthcare in this country. Let your local federal member know you say no to US Managed Healthcare in Australia. Visit sendtheeaglehome.com.au. Authorised by Kay Gallagher, Australian Society of Ophthalmologists.
What's the trusted Australian off-roading brand made for Australian conditions? TJM. They know the South Australian bush because it's their backyard, just as it's yours. So who better to give the best advice on what equipment you need? Whether you're a novice or an experienced off-roader, see the TJM team. They stand by their products and have been doing it since 1973. Get into TJM today and get off-road tomorrow. Nailsworth and Clovelly Park, tjmsa.com.au.
It's the details in custom sheer curtains by Country that make the difference. Like a choice of pleats, including the modern S-Wave, traditional double pleats, reverse pleats, and even pencil pleats. Why settle for less when Country offers lots of options to help create the right look for your home? With a pleat style that's perfect. Custom sheer curtains made best by Country. Now let's make it for you. Visit countryblinds.com.au for a free measuring quote.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide. With Australia's largest tyre range, Bob Jane T-Marts will look after you with their best tyre price guarantee. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
16 after 6 news headlines on this wet and cool Tuesday morning. Adam Goodes has reportedly rejected an offer to be inducted into Australian football's Hall of Fame. The Herald Sun reporting this morning that Goodes has told the AFL he will not be accepting the honour.
The thing that is interesting about this story, Mark Robinson's written it, and Robbo is good friends with Goodes. And I think while he doesn't explicitly state it, I think that the suggestion from the article that leads the back page of the Tiser today is that Goodes is just fed up, completely over football. He has nothing to do with football anymore. He doesn't go to games. He doesn't watch games. But beyond that, he still feels that the way his career ended, he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. He's just totally so he wouldn't be up for an award night. Doesn't want to stand there in a tuxedo talking about all the good times. And he's probably fearful of if he had a whole new round of media interviews, he'd be put back into a position where he'd get asked about, in hindsight, do you think you overreacted? Would you handle it differently? Yep. And then invariably there'd be articles, every article about him being in the Hall of Fame would be up online with reader comments. Does he want to sit there in his spare time scrolling through all those reader comments?
I wonder if it's just come a bit too soon for his relationship with football, because we've seen examples of it in sport before where in Hall of Fame inductions so often are a healing experience for people that had controversial careers. Not saying Goodes is in that category, but people that had frosty relationships with maybe the administration or former teammates or the public. That the Hall of Fame sometimes allows people just to have a bit of perspective and talk about the experience, and often it is quite healing. It feels to him it's just hasn't been that long. I just wonder if in 20 years whether we will have moved on, the narrative will have moved on, and he can talk about it more in terms of having some positivity about his football career. It just feels like it's so close to when it ended still.
See, I think a lot of people will be instinctively inclined to have a sort of come on Adam, get over it type response to it. Because when I was reading about it, I thought that's a pity. But then if you think about all the stuff you have to do as part of it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's a great point.
And it's more just not wanting to be a topic of conversation again. You just don't want to be talked about. You just want to be Adam kicking around doing stuff with your friends.
And I think that's perfectly fair.
Yeah.
Australia's vaccine rollout is ramping up with more people now able to get the shot. It's been made available to everyone over the age of 40 now in South Australia. Temporary visa holders under 50 can also get vaccinated. All Northern Territory residents over the age of 16 can now receive the vaccine. It's the first jurisdiction in the country to offer the jab to the general population.
So when are you going to get your Pfizer, mate?
I'm not on the rollout yet.
Oh, no, you're not 40, are
No.
you? God, that's annoying.
So
I had in my head that you're 40. You act 40.
Oh, no, I act 80. Let's be honest about it.
You are the most responsible member of this duo.
Well,
and you're about 30 years younger than me.
No, I'm just old before my time, David. That's all.
So you can't get anything yet.
You can't get anything except COVID.
That's right. Well, you can't even really get that, can you?
No, probably not. People aged 25 to 29 in the UK will be allowed to receive the vaccine. More than 40 million residents in the UK have so far received their first jab, while nearly 28 million second shots have also been administered. Here is UK's Health Secretary Matt Hancock.
The latest estimates indicate the vaccination programme has averted over 39,000 hospitalisations and over 13,000 deaths. So the vaccination brings us hope.
The trial of 4 men accused over the shooting down of flight MH17 in Ukraine, which killed 38 Australians, has now reached a crucial stage. In a Dutch court, the trial of 3 Russians and a Ukrainian accused of involvement is now at the merits phase, where key evidence will be discussed. Overnight, the judges outlined the schedule for coming days. They also made a decision that families of the victims will be allowed to address the court in September.
Such a shocking case, wasn't it? Just so audacious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'll be fascinated to get some true answers around, was it a case of mistaken identity? Was it a case of, was it people being reckless with weaponry? Who was, at what level was there any government involvement? There are a host of those questions that I hope we do get some resolution.
What about that family in Perth? Just can't believe that they, the 3 kids and the grandparents, together flying back from the Netherlands. Just the worst thing ever.
Horrific. A girl whose Billawala family has been detained by the Australian government for more than 3 years has arrived in Perth after being medically evacuated. The 3-year-old and her mother have been flown from Christmas Island to the mainland. The Australian-born girl has been hospitalised on the island after more than 10 days of illness. There's been another case of extreme overcrowding in our state's public hospitals. The Royal Adelaide Hospital issued an internal disaster code yesterday due to lack of capacity. So if you had a elective surgery planned that was booked in for yesterday, you probably got told it was off, which, as we've spoken about in the past, elective surgery, it's a nice flowery name, but no one goes under the knife because it's a bit of fun.
No.
It's because you're probably in pain, but it's not going to kill you. That's usually what it means.
A friend of mine had this really full-on back issue, and she got bumped twice. She was in total agony.
Yeah. She probably
couldn't work. Couldn't work.
Elective surgery. That's what that one's called.
Yeah, that's right.
Amazon founder Jeff Bezos says he and his brother will fly on the first crewed space flight from his rocket company Blue Origin next month. That is putting your money where your mouth is, isn't it?
I'll say. Now, what about there's 3 spots on this flight. One of them's being sold by auction. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, the bidding is currently at $3 billion.
Is it $3 billion?
Billion. Billion. Can you believe that? I mean, I don't think... The thing that worries me about space travel is it doesn't seem accessible to the common man.
Yeah, that's...
They need some sort of Oban type system.
Yeah,
something a bit more, a bit earthier.
Space public transport.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, when's the space bus going to take off?
Been waiting here all day to get to Mars. It's like trying to catch a bus in the Adelaide Hills.
Yeah, what will come first?
Yeah.
The space bus or one in the hills?
Or the Mount Barker Railway line.
The forecast for the rest of today, as we mentioned, the coolest maximum forecast since winter last year, 13 the expected top, just 3 to 8 mils of rain, which is a revision down from yesterday. So if we get to the top end, we'll probably have in Adelaide at the 20 mil mark. The high end estimate was 35, so it hasn't quite come down as we were expecting necessarily yesterday. Tomorrow, just a mil remaining, but still cool, just a top of 14. Thursday, no rain and a top of 16. Friday, a top of 16 with no rain. Saturday, David, golf day, 18, no rain.
Friday is no rain too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Friday golf day.
Friday's golf day.
Oh,
Friday afternoon.
Okay, it's fine.
12:27 p.m. Wollonga Golf Course.
Good news for you. Partly cloudy, light winds.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
But it's going to be cool. 16 on Friday.
That's all right. That's all right.
Happy with that?
That's good.
24 after 6. Tom Wren with sport in a moment.
We love to see you, CMI Lane.
With the end of financial year fast approaching, now is the time to visit CMI Toyota, SA's #1 selling Toyota dealer. What are you waiting for? CMI Toyota has incredible deals on a range of new and pre-owned vehicles. So hurry in and secure your new Toyota now. Visit CMI Toyota today at West Terra City, Cheltenham or Christie's Beach.
We love to see you, CMI Lane.
Oh, what a feeling, Toyota.
For most business PC brands, a 4-hour service guarantee means they'll call you back in 4 hours. But at Leader Computers, a 4-hour service guarantee on Leader's business range means they'll come to your worksite and have you back in business inside 4 hours. Leader Computers are local, made here in Adelaide with better service, better support and speedy turnaround times. Live life local. Live life Leader. Leader Computers. Find your local dealer at leadersystems.com.au.
It may be a confronting issue, but elder abuse is a problem in our community. It can take many forms: physical, psychological or emotional abuse. There's social and financial abuse or neglect. It also doesn't discriminate either. People from all environments, ethnicities and genders are at risk to elder abuse. And sadly, in many cases, the abuser is a family member or carer, which makes it even harder for victims to reach out for help and support. If you think that you or someone you know could be the victim of elder abuse, free confidential help is available. Call 1800 Elder Help. That's 1800 353 374, or you can go online to compass.info for support and connections. Authorised by the Attorney General's Office.
G'day, Rocco Lambrusco here in the City Traffic Chopper. Tonight I'll be eating an avocado smash westbound on Victoria Road. That's it from me in the chopper. Back to you. Order with Uber Eats tonight.
Well, right now we're joined by Joe, who's going to talk about all things Arbor Vitae. With its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, it is proving very popular. Isn't that right, Joe?
That's right, Lee. More and more people are experiencing the benefits of using Arbor Vitae, and it's just wonderful.
Can you talk us through what are the benefits that people are experiencing when they use Arbor Vitae?
Well, it does somewhat depend on which Arbor Vitae bottle is right for you. There's Arbor Vitae Health and Wellbeing Supplement, which may help maintain healthy blood glucose and cholesterol levels and support heart and cardiovascular health. And Arbor Vitae Joint Health, which may provide relief from the symptoms of mild arthritis. So we're talking joint pain, inflammation, soreness, stiffness, and mobility.
Hey, Joe, now it's winter. Arbor Vitae may help to improve your immune function?
Yes, you're right, Lee. Your immune system is important to help fight colds and flu, and Arbor Vitae supports the health and function of your immune system.
Thanks so much for that, Joe. There you have it. Lots of benefits to using Arbor Vitae. You can find Arbor Vitae in chemists and health food stores all over Adelaide. Go to arborvitae.com.au for a full list of their stockists, or you can buy it online direct, or give the Arbor Vitae team a call on 1300 879 863. And remember, always follow the directions for use. This medicine may not be right for you. Read the label before purchase. If symptoms persist, talk to your health professional.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Buy 3, get 1 free and instant cashback on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
27 after 6. Tom Renner's wandered into the studio. 3 words make a big difference to our local dairy farmers. Fluria Milk Company in your supermarkets now. Morning to you, Rennie.
Morning, Will. Morning, David. Boys, good result for the Socceroos this morning. They're beating Chinese Taipei 5-1, that powerhouse that Chinese Taipei.
Chinese Taipei. That's Taiwan.
Yes, and so...
But you're not allowed to call them Taiwan. Sorry if you're listening in Joslin, our friend in the Chinese consulate.
Always listening.
You got to call them Chinese Taipei, not Taiwan.
That's now 6 from 6 for the Socceroos. Now, they're the top of that group, but people at home, that just means they then go to the next round of qualifying where we'll get the stronger nations again. So, still a good result. They'll finish top comfortably.
I watched the first half this morning before we came in. Harry Suter, the giant Socceroo defender, young guy, who scored his first 2 ever goals against Chinese Taipei because he just towers above them at corners, and he scored one in the, I think it was the 11th minute today, and it just looks ludicrous. There's no chance that anyone can contest with him in the air. But the most notable thing out of that game, there's a guy that plays for Chinese Taipei called Emilio Estevez.
Seriously?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What, the guy from one of the original members of the Brat Pack?
Yeah, apparently not named
Is Judd
after
Nelson
him.
playing too?
I was going to say, is he starring in Men at Work afterwards?
Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen's his brother. Well, he wasn't picked.
Well, and then in the Women's League, of course, we've got Molly Ringwald captaining the Chinese Taipei.
Breakfast Club.
Yeah, that's right.
Good movie.
Exactly.
16 Candles.
Don't you forget about me.
Good to see Riley McGree get a start too, former Adelaide
Really
United
good.
star, and he looked really good.
And Mitch Duke scored a couple of goals, which was good for him. So, good result for the Socceroos. And we're a bit spoilt for choice with soccer coming up because we've got the Euros, Penberthy. I know you'll be interested, starting on Saturday.
Yeah, this is going to be good. Now, how do you watch it? You're saying, well, you can only watch it if you've got on Optus.
Oh, now I've only, unless our listeners can correct me, because I started researching this morning. I think Optus is the option. So presumably you can sign up for a month to watch. Surely they can't rope you into a 12-month subscription for something that you only want to use for a short period. But
no, I think you can do it for a month.
Yeah, hopefully.
Although I did mine for the last World Cup, my son put it on my phone, and I realised it's still there. So I've been paying for it
the whole
for 3
time.
years.
And that's how they probably trap you, isn't it?
But we're getting this is the post-pandemic kickover from last year, isn't it? Because not just the Euros, but for our Latin American friends listening, the Copa America, which is the South American, Central American equivalent, where all the nations play off. It's always good. You can get crazy games, bit of a random aberrant crowd behaviour and a bit of ugly behind-the-scenes stuff by the Panamanians. So all of this was meant to be last year, and it's now this year because of COVID.
Well, it's the same with the Olympics too, isn't it? I mean, that we've got that flow-on effect. But just in terms of those tournaments, a lot of excitement. The Euros, though, I think, is the one that's going to garner a lot of interest over here. Italy are going to be pretty strong, but I think Belgium, it might be their time this year.
Yeah. Well, they were so good in France, weren't they?
They're the perennial non-winners, though, aren't they? They always look great but never win. I think this might be the tournament for them this year. Hopefully.
Good on you, Rennie.
Good on you, boys. Good stuff.
Who loves South Australia as much as you do? FIVEaa Milk Company, that's who. South Australian and proud of it.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers and 13 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Physio Extra, your one-stop shop. Physio, Pilates, podiatry, massage, dietetics. For appointments, visit physioextra.com.
Australian Federal Police have smashed an underworld crime ring using an app to trick alleged criminals into informing detectives of their plans. Operation Ironside has been running for 3 years. More than 3,500 kilos of drugs and $35 million in cash has been seized and dozens of firearms confiscated. More than 100 people have been charged, including 6 men in SA. Police raiding an alleged safe house in Adelaide run by the rebels' outlaw motorcycle gang. There have been a couple of car fires in the early hours of this morning. A vehicle was reported alight in a driveway at Elizabeth Downs just after 3. The blaze on Kavanagh Street is being treated as suspicious, while a car has been torched on Howards Road at Beverley. More South Aussies can roll up their sleeves for the COVID jab from today. The Pfizer jab is now available to the 40 to 49-year-olds. Bookings can be made on the SA Health website. The rollout is also expanding to Kangaroo Island, and disability frontline workers are now eligible. Well, the World Health Organisation is concerned by what it's calling a two-track COVID pandemic. It's encouraged by a drop in the number of new cases and deaths being reported, but Director General Dr Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus says many nations still face an extremely dangerous situation.
With the increased global transmission of variants of concern, including the Delta variant, lifting restrictions too quickly could be disastrous for those who are not vaccinated.
The largest dinosaur ever uncovered in Australia has been found in southwest Queensland. The dinosaur was 6.5 metres tall and up to 30 metres long. It lived in the area around 95 million years ago. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos has announced he will be on Blue Origin's first human spaceflight next month. Nine's Alison Petrowski reports from the US.
The world's second richest man plans to be on board the New Shepard spacecraft when it launches from West Texas on July 20.
I want to go on this flight because it's a thing I've wanted to do all my life.
Jeff's brother Mark Bezos will join him as a member of the crew. Blue Origin is Amazon's space company. They've been working towards the launch for 6 years now and have completed 15 test flights so far. A live auction is underway for one of the seats on the spaceship. The highest bid, more than $3.6 million.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Who loves South Australia as much as you do? FIVEaa Milk Company, South Australian and proud of it.
What's happening with the Socceroos, Tom Wren?
Well, Mel, they've tightened their grip at the top of their group for World Cup qualifying after a 5-1 rout of Chinese Taipei this morning. Mitch Duke bagged a double, with both of his goals coming in the second half. To football, and Adelaide forward Darcy Fogarty is set to sign a 2-year extension at the club that will keep him there until at least the end of 2023. Fogarty will be the 12th signature for the club this season. Novak Djokovic has survived a scare in the 4th round of the French Open, coming from 2 sets down to defeat Italian teenager Lorenzo Musetti. Rafael Nadal, meantime, has breezed into the quarters in straight sets, as has Alexander Zverev and Diego Schwartzman. Meantime, Maria Sakkari has thrashed Sofia Kenin in straight sets. Sakkari's likely opponent in the quarters is defending champion Iga Swiatek. Sakkari says she's up for the challenge.
No one is easy when you get to that point. Like, even if it's the number one in the world, 10 or 50 or whatever, they're for some reason playing in the quarterfinals. So it's gonna be an extremely tough match. So I'm gonna, enjoy the moment and play my tennis.
And Swiatek has just won her match, meaning that those two will meet in the next round. Coco Gauff has also progressed into the quarterfinals. Meantime, Aussie Dylan Alcott has beaten Dutchman Sam Schroeder in the quad wheelchair singles final at the French Open to claim his 13th career Grand Slam. And in some Super Netball news, the Melbourne Vixens are relocating to Queensland for at least the next 4 weeks. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Switch and save on car service and repairs with Service Now Pay Later options. Call 1300 Automasters.
13 for your Tuesday with showers. A morning shower or two tomorrow, 14. Thursday, cloudy and 16. Right now it's 8 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
With Australia's largest tyre range, Bob Jane T-Marts will look after you with their best tyre price guarantee. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
24 minutes to 7. Steve says we had 26 mils of rain here in Woodside. Steve, thank you, which actually reminds me of a task we've got for our listeners this morning. If you are with rain gauge, let us know how much you got yesterday. We want some real local readings. What was it in your suburb, in your street? Let us know.
Let's see if we can go for a... Well, how would you verify it? How would you verify it? We trust our listeners.
Yeah, what's the honour system?
Honour system. It's like, it's like playing golf at Ashbourne.
And
you put your $10 in the tin, you go and play around.
If you're serious enough to have about rain to have bought a gauge, you're not in the business of fluffing your figures there, are you?
No.
So give us a call, 8223 0000. And what we really love doing, and the Bureau love this, David, is when we get data from our listeners that we use to dispute their instruments.
Yeah, that's right.
So it'll allow us to do that as well, which is always excellent.
You might say that, Brett, but we have our own evidence.
You can text us on the Telstra Stormont Barker text line, just like Steve did. 0448 08 1395 is the number. Paula McGill sent us a text too saying, lads, the best story I've read in a long time, the AFP Operation Ironside. Congratulations to all involved. Fantastic. We're going to talk about that after 7 o'clock, Paul, because you're right. I read that story this morning, and I almost went to just Google it because I wasn't sure. Is this some sort of promotion for
a TV show?
A TV show.
Did you think it was like clever marketing or something for the new underbelly?
I read the first couple of pars and I went, hang on, has this really happened?
It is quite extraordinary because when you get today's Tizer, and if you don't get it, it's well worth getting today's. Because you're basically getting 2 newspapers for the price of one. I'm holding it now. So the front page, crime lords smashed, mafia bikies tricked into spilling secrets by Cops Genius app, 21 executions foiled, dozens of big names on charges, tons of drugs, $35 million cash seized. It's 16 pages around the front of the paper.
It is.
So the paper's on the inside. The paper on the inside is splashing with the story about the Pfizer jab being available for the under-50s. Ben Roberts-Smith, which is a good story too, the so-called war hero defamation trial starting. So that's in the middle. So you get a normal paper. So clearly the papers, because every News Limited paper will be running this nationally, they've clearly got the, nudge, nudge, wink, wink from the AFP that they're onto this mind-blowing yarn, and the whole thing's superbly done.
Oh, it's sensational. Yeah,
it's like a book.
Yeah, it's worth picking up just to read it. It's like the written version of the most outrageous underbelly season that's never been made.
Yeah,
but
it'd be like it'd have to be 20,000 words. 15,000 words.
Yeah.
Beautifully designed.
We'll take you through how it all played out and what it means globally after 7 o'clock this morning. Another text from Anne who says, Dave and Willie, you guys are aware the numbers of vaccinated in the last 24 hours was only 1,946. Seem not to be rushing, no sense of urgency, but maintaining numbers should be expected, surely given new centres, etc. Doctors only get 50 per week to administer, so Premier using that explanation doesn't stack up. Well, I think it probably says everything that I've read Anne's text with that information and went, yeah. It just feels... the fact that it's even dropped off, it feels entirely consistent with the national mood on vaccination, which is...
Well, it's funny, though. The only place where it's picked up a lot is Victoria.
Yes.
Where people have gone, all right, actually, this is really serious. I just cannot for the life of me understand why there's still so much ambivalence about it.
And wasn't it great to see that the number of the people in one of the aged care homes that got it had been vaccinated? They counted as COVID cases, yet were totally asymptomatic.
Yeah.
They only got tested as a matter of course. There was a couple. There was a couple, yeah. tested as they only got tested as a matter of course because they'd been exposed. Oh, you've got it. Do I?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the world we want to live in.
That's the whole point of getting vaccinated.
Exactly right. Part of it too is meaning we can return to life to normal. I was saddened to read a story about the Olympic swimming trials that are happening here in Adelaide this weekend, and how they've been affected by virtue of the lockdown in New South Wales. So the trials are on at the Aquatic and Leisure Centre in Oaklands Park, starting Saturday night this weekend. They'll be without a whole bunch of people, not to denigrate them, but the B-grade swimmers, those that weren't expected necessarily to qualify, but had aspirations to qualify for the Olympics. Because what happened in Victoria, and I think this actually runs counter to the Olympic legend in Australia and the thing that we as Australians love most about sport, as opposed to, say, the Americans who are all about the stars. Swimming Australia made sure people that were in Victoria, like Mac Horton, for example, got out the moment things went pear-shaped COVID-wise. So they all went to Queensland. They can come to South Australia and swim in the trials, qualify for the Olympics. Happy days. Great, this weekend. But if you were someone who was in the tier below in Victoria, you were trying to make it for the first time, maybe you'd got to swimming, whatever it might well have been, you didn't get that warning. So there's a whole bunch of people who are the Cinderella stories of Australian sport that it happens every Olympics where someone will qualify in swimming generally where they're 24. Now, it's their first Olympics because they weren't identified as being talented when they were 16 or they got to it late, or maybe they'd been struck down by injury. We love those people and we love those stories, and there's going to be less of them, or we're going to miss some because of COVID this year, because these people can't come to South Australia to compete in the trials
So they can't try to qualify?
No, they're done. Dream's over.
That's pretty ordinary, isn't it?
It's really awful. But the stars all got out.
Minute. So they can't come, Collingwood can?
Well, that's what it is. Well, no, actually, part of this is not a government regulation. Part of this is Swimming Australia had this fear. What if, and I understand this is a sporting body too.
What if Mac Horton got it off Eddie the Eagle?
Yes, exactly. And then he gave it to everyone else in the swim team. And then suddenly there is no swim team. That was their fear. So they've put an extra layer of precaution.
To use a Dan Andrewsism, they put a ring of steel around their stars.
They did.
And everyone else can go and get stuff.
Yep. Which is, I think, a bit sad.
So not a government thing.
No, they did it. But I think, it's not in keeping with the culture of Australian sport.
No, that's exceedingly harsh.
All right, let's check traffic. Thanks to Dave Potter. Get a great end of financial year deal on used and executive-driven vehicles right now. That's Dave Potter, Honda.
Good morning. Got a severe weather warning current today, so roads are pretty wet and slippery. Do take some extra care. Walkley Heights today got a smash right road at Walkley's Road. At Beverley, there's a truck failure at the moment. Port Road near Howard's Road, that is city-bound. Modbury, McIntyre Road near Wright Road. Got a right-hand lane closed northbound, that's due to road damage. And between Stirling and the tunnels today on the freeway, speeds reduced down to 80 k's, that's due to the weather. Hitting the roads these holidays, book a Petters brake, steering and suspension check for just $28. For peace of mind and a comprehensive report, visit petters.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Whether you're a sparky, a chippy, a fiery or a bikey, whether they call you curly, tubby or tiny, whether next door means a few feet or a few miles, we know the weather's harsh in South Australia. But Olympic Industries carports, verandas and sheds are tougher than most. And if they're strong enough in the country, they'll be strong enough in the city. For a limited time, you can save heaps across the entire range. Olympic Industries end of financial year sale. Built to last.
Everybody's talking about Montaigne.
Hi, Miles Fitzner here, and everybody is talking about the Progressive Group Fleet Department at Montaigne, representing 7 of the top 10 vehicle brands in Australia: Ranger Ute, Hyundai i30, Kia Cerato, Mazda CX-5, plus many more fleet vehicle solutions. The Montaigne Fleet team is ready to assist your business requirements with amazing end of financial year offers. Call 8300 1200 today and ask for Aaron, the professional group fleet manager.
Everybody's talking about Montaigne.
BD 182170.
Great news for self-managing landlords. Toop and Toop Real Estate now has Toop Assist. You can pick whatever property management help you need without entering into a full agreement.
Now, this is a terrific setup. Landlords, it means that they can get the help that they need at the time.
There's so many services on offer, including advertising, finding a tenant, doing reference checks, inspections, photography, marketing, tribunal hearings, even insurance claims.
It's a real one-stop shop. And Toop, well, they're the property management specialists. They've got 35 years of experience, and it's great that their knowledge and expertise can be tapped into as you need it.
So if you need a hand managing your rental property or you just want some expert advice, have a chat with Toop Property Management. Their number is 8362 8888 or visit assist.toop.com.au.
I don't really like talking on radio, but I do like talking about our cows at the FIVEaa Milk Company. And I love helping support SA dairy farmers. They're a great bunch with beautiful families. They work day and night to produce the best milk in SA. So when you're in the supermarket, look for FIVEaa Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it. I'm getting good at this.
FIVEaa Milk Company, celebrating 15 years of SA business. FLurioMilkCo.com.au.
I'm high!
Your local, the Excelsior Hotel has a brand new menu. On it, you'll find char-grilled octopus, brilliant, fish tacos, yes please, and an absolute favourite, braised lamb shanks. Oh, bring it on. Head to your local, the Excelsior Hotel, and check out the new winter menu. The Excelsior, it just keeps getting better. 110 Coghlan Street, Brompton. You just know it's a Barreau Hotel.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide.
Buy 3, get 1 free and instant cashback on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
There's nothing left.
14 to 7. Sue in Christie's Beach has got a homemade rain gauge, which I think is excellent. 12 mils in the homemade gauge, says Sue, saying most of that came in the 4 a.m. deluge. 2 lots of hail. Thank you, Sue. Paul in God's Country at Jupiter Creek says 32.5 mil, I think, which is the high water mark.
Now, excuse my ignorance, I don't know where Jupiter Creek is.
I just had to look it up. It's just out of Chunga, near Chapel Hill.
Oh, okay.
So
nice.
Yeah. Rain country. There's no doubt about that. 32.5. Haven't seen anyone who's had any in the gauge that's been more than that. We'll speak with the Bureau very shortly. Julie rang in, 98 mil at Fairview Park. Thank you for that, Julie. We'll talk all things weather and what's on the way today with the Bureau very, very shortly. Rob's also said on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line, I think the rowing at West Lakes this week leads to Olympic selection, but that will be without the Vicks as well. Thank you for that, Rob. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan from SAPOL is on the line. Morning to you, Jen.
Morning.
So, Jen, there's been a suspicious car fire at Elizabeth Downs.
There was, and that was at 3 o'clock this morning. Police and fire crews were called to Kavanagh Street after reports of a car on fire, and they found that car in the driveway of a property. Police and fire crews managed to extinguish the blaze, but the car has been completely destroyed. So initial investigations would suggest that the fire is suspicious, and we ask anybody who's seen anything at 3 o'clock this morning in the Elizabeth Downs area to call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
And Jen, you also caught a high-range drink driver at Belair.
We did, and this was yesterday, and you thought last week's was bad. Wait till you hear this one. And this was at 11 o'clock yesterday morning. A car drove over an embankment on Old Belair Road. Police attended and breath tested the driver, and she recorded an alcohol reading of a 0.371, which is 7 times over the legal limit. So that was a 60-year-old Huntfield Heights woman. She's been reported for drink driving, aggravated due care, and she's lost her licence on the spot, and she will go to court at a later date.
Okay, she'd be flat out standing up, let alone driving a car, particularly driving a car on Old Belair Road, where you've got to keep your wits about you the best of times.
That's a terrible road at the best of times.
It's a shocking road.
Say. It's full of people on push bikes. It's a bendy, windy road. It's not good to drive straight at the best of times.
Yeah, unbelievable. And also, obviously, Jen, with this rain, SAPOL has a road weather warning.
Yeah, obviously, the weather is terrible. They didn't put this in the brochure for the POMs coming over, that's for sure.
We got you here on false pretences, is that what you're saying, Jen?
Yeah, they did. This was not in the brochure. So, wipers on, lights on today. Everybody is asked to be alert and drive to the conditions and the warning signs that may be displayed. Obviously, increase your stopping distance or in fact have stopping distance would be a good thing for South Australians. It obviously takes a wee while to stop in the wet weather, but it's not just cars. We're asking pedestrians as well to be reminded to cross at the approved crossings. Make sure they're not looking at the phones or got their umbrellas tucked over their faces so they can't see the traffic or the puddles for that matter.
Yeah, the puddles.
Puddles.
The puddles.
Yeah.
Good on you, Jen.
Thanks, boys.
Hey, Jen, it must make you a bit homesick for you. It's Yorkshire's, you know.
No.
Not homesick at all?
Not homesick. Not for the rain.
No. The mist.
No, neither.
The misty moors. Good
Yeah.
on you, Jen.
Thanks, boy.
Senior Constable Jen Cullinan from
That was
Safepol.
good. A couple of sledges there for South Australia's drivers on the way through from Jen Cullinan.
Yep, that was good advice. Friendly advice from the police. Brett Gage is working diligently over at the Weather Bureau this morning. So, Brett, suffice to say, a fairly cool one on the way today.
Yeah, that's right. We're only heading for a top of 13 degrees, currently 7 in the city. And I hear you've already been talking about the rainfall amount, so that's correct. Burnt Out Creek has had the highest gauging of 32.5 millimetres. And down in the official city observation at West Terrace, we've had 12 millimetres.
Yeah, right. Bit of variation there.
Yeah, that's right. So normally up in the hills they get 2 to 3 times more than we do on the plains, so that's quite normal in winter. Yeah, so for the rest of today, on the plains we're looking at amounts of 3 to 8 millimetres, a very high chance of showers, the chance of a thunderstorm, and possible small hail. Now also out on the waters, there's a strong wind warning for metro waters, west to southwesterlies at 20 to 30 knots, turning southerly at 15 to 20 knots during the morning, but then increasing to 20 to 25 knots in the late afternoon. So seas are 1 to 2 metres, and there's a west to southwest swell of around a metre. Now, the weather will be easing off a little bit tomorrow, just a morning shower or two and a top of 14. Then 16 the expected top for Thursday, and just a slight chance for a shower about the hills, mainly in the morning, should be very much in it there on Thursday. Then partly cloudy for Friday, Saturday and Sunday, with tops of 16 for Friday, 18 Saturday and 19 Sunday. Pretty much light winds on all those days. Will be under the influence of a high pressure system. And then next Monday, a top of 19, fairly mild, but a possible late shower there for next Monday. So, yeah, we've just got to get through this, bit of a cold outbreak for today, and, it will be on the cool side, but things will be much more pleasant on the weekend.
That's good news,
Good
Brett.
stuff,
Thank you
Brett.
for that. Senior forecaster Brett Gage from the Weather Bureau. We're going to take a short break. On the other side of it, we're going to chat with a paleontologist, Robin
gonna be good.
McKenzie, about a discovery that you've probably heard in 5AA News this morning. A new dinosaur species has been found in Australia, the biggest ever found. What you probably don't know is it was found by Robin's son. He called it a funny-looking rock. She'll be joining us in a moment.
It's the little things that make a big difference to your day, like a thank you email from a colleague or a smile from a stranger on the train. And it can all start here with a healthy, delicious breakfast made with the goodness of Aussie-made Pura milk. It's got 8 essential nutrients and vitamins to kickstart your morning and set you up for the day ahead. So start your day the positive way with Pura.
Ready? Here we go. Mawson Lakes Mazda's end of financial year clearance is on now. Not the first clearance we've done, but let me tell you, there's never been one like this. The prices are way low, but the choices are so high. We've got hundreds in stock, so chances are you'll get your dream model in the colour you're after. Grab an end of financial year price on the car you've been waiting for. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city, Salisbury Highway.
Now, look, we all like to buy Australian when we can.
Yeah, while all fresh pork sold here is a 100% Australian, what most people don't know is that the majority of ham and bacon in Australia is made using imported meat. Now, that seems a touch un-Australian.
Does it ever? It's not a touch un-Australian, completely un-Australian. Now, if you give a damn about Australian ham and bacon, now there's a way you can make sure that what you're buying is fair dinkum Aussie.
I think you could have just shortened that. If you give a damn about Australia.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Exactly.
Simply look for a full bar chart under the green and gold kangaroo on the packet. You might notice that it's your native animal. It's on the emblem. If you care about your country.
That's all right. We don't use the word treason lightly.
Exactly right. If you see it, then you know it's made using Australian pork.
Exactly. And look, by doing so, you'll be supporting our Australian pork farmers and helping secure Australian jobs.
To make sure you're buying ham and bacon made with Australian pork, simply look out for the green and gold kangaroo on the packet in your supermarket today.
Here at 5AA, we're all about supporting local. Don't miss the Simon and Garfunkel and Cat Stevens tribute show. A night of feeling groovy on the Peace Train. Woodville Town Hall, Sunday, June 20. Book at topendshows.com.au.
Country quality is all in the details. The installers who come to your home are members of Country, not contractors. Our installers work only for us, so they take real pride in what they do. Get expert installation by our own professionals and a result you can be proud of. You'll love the Country installation advantage. So now, let's make it for you. Visit countryblinds.com.au for a free measure and quote.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. With Australia's largest tyre range, Bob Jane T-Marts will look after you with their best tyre price guarantee. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
4 to 7, Chris in Tennyson at 8 mils of rain in his gauge overnight. Keep them coming in. No one's beaten Paul at Jupiter Creek with 32.5. 8223 our number. You can text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. Nobody's made a discovery in the world of dinosaurs as big as our next guest. Robin McKenzie's the director of the Erramunga Natural History Museum. Her son found a strange-looking rock. Turned out to be Australia's largest discovered dinosaur. Robin, good morning to you.
Good morning, Andy. How are you this morning?
We're great, thanks, Robin. Now, I got to say, I'm an absolute dinosaur nut. I had no idea that we had anything even close to this big in Australia, but what a find for you guys.
Yeah, look, none of us did, actually. I mean, it's not what you expect to find in your backyard exactly, is it? So it was quite a surprise, to find the bones of Australia's largest dinosaur in west of Erramunga on our property was just amazing. And look, honestly, we weren't setting out to do that. It just happened. We knew what a dinosaur site looked like, and we found these bones, and they were, indications where the proportions are big on the surface, but still, you have no idea until you start actually digging the bones up what you're dealing with, and that's what we did in the dig in 2007. So it was a very exciting time.
So tell us about the discovery, because it was your son Sandy back in 2004 who originally found what was believed to be a rock. Yeah.
Yeah, so Sandy's discovery was actually at a different site, but it marked the beginning of the discoveries that we were finding afterwards. So in 2004, Sandy found the first piece of dinosaur bone from this whole part of Australia and in outback Australia. And previously there'd been no dinosaur sites found in this area before. So that was a really important start to the whole process. I guess that what it did is it showed us what to look for. And then in 2006, when Stuart and I, my husband and I were actually mustering cattle, I'd actually just found a bone from another dinosaur site, and I was actually pulled up on the motorbike beside Stuart and asked him whether he thought it was a dinosaur, and he confirmed that. And then we just saw something unusual in front of us, and two big chunks of black, what turned out to be bone on top of the ground. And we both just went over and looked at it and didn't say anything to each other because we were both inquisitive about what was there, and had no idea that was going to turn out to be the remains from the beginning of the remains from Australia's largest dinosaur. Now, these bones don't just sit on top of the ground. You obviously have to put in a bit of work to get to the good stuff. So we actually then had to have a dig the following year.
Yeah, right. So, Robin, 5 to 6.5 metres at the hip, 25 to 30 metres in length. It's a giant creature, yet you gave it the rather pleasant-sounding nickname Cooper. How did that come about?
Well, it's all about location. It's a funny thing. We tend to nickname our dinosaurs until they're formally described, and it's just a way of personalising them. And to be honest with you, we're finding a lot of them, so we have to. It's a bit like a dinosaur family. We have to give them individual names so we don't get confused about who we're working with and who we're dealing with. So Cooper is a reflection of the locality, and I'm not sure whether you've heard of Cooper Creek. It's one of the major inland waterways in Australia, outback Australia. So the site is actually found east of that on a tributary, and it's also part overlays. It's in the area where the Cooper Basin lies as well. So that's a geological formation. So there's a few reasons behind that name, and Cooperensis is Latin for location near Cooper Creek.
Well, I'll tell you what, we don't want to turn this into state of origin, but from based on what we've got down the road at the South Australian Museum, we've only got a large, oversized wombat called a diprotodon. So I think that the Queenslanders are beating us at the moment, Robin.
Look, we've got the diprotodons up here as well, and they're fantastic. But that's a whole other story and another conversation.
Certainly is. Good on you, Robin.
Thanks, Robin. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Great story. Robin McKenzie, Director of the Eromanga Natural History Museum, Australotitan cooperensis.
It's basically like the maroon supporting version of the Brontosaurus. Drinks 4X.
I think there's a Latin term for that too. I just haven't quite read that far.
Exactly.
It's 5AA news time. One of the most incredible global busts of criminal enterprise that's ever been undertaken and executed. The idea was formed over a few beers. We'll talk about it next.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers and 13 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience, with 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
6 Adelaide men have been charged as part of a massive 3-year sting targeting Australia's underworld. Federal police have foiled murder plots, drug trafficking and money laundering schemes. Criminals had been using an app sold on the black market to communicate, but it was actually operated by the FBI, and law enforcement could track what was being sent. It's unclear if 2 car fires this morning are linked. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says the first vehicle was torched at Elizabeth Downs just after 3.
Police and fire crews were called to Kavanagh Street after reports of a car on fire, and they found that car in the driveway of a property. Police and fire crews managed to extinguish the blaze, but the car has been completely destroyed.
Another car fire has been reported on Howards Road at Beverley. A woman's been reported for excessive drink driving. The 60-year-old has been busted more than 7 times the legal limit in the hills. Her car went down an embankment on Old Belair Road at Belair yesterday. When breath tested, she allegedly returned a reading of 0.371. The Huntfield Heights resident will be summoned to front court at a later date. The rest of the country will follow Victoria's lead today and open COVID vaccines to the over 40s. That includes South Australia. Nine's Michael Packey has more.
The vaccine rollout is being expanded across the country, allowing all people over 40 access to the injection. Until now, the vaccine was mainly restricted to frontline workers and aged care residents. Indigenous people, those on the NDIS and their carers are also eligible for the COVID shot, along with temporary visa holders under 50. The federal government says vaccine supply is less of an issue, with extra vials of FIVEaa and AstraZeneca to be distributed over the coming week. So far, more than 5 million doses have been administered since the rollout started in February.
76% of adults in the United Kingdom have now had at least received their first COVID-19 shot. People aged 25 to 29 will soon be eligible to get the vaccine. The UK's Health Secretary Matt Hancock says the pace of the rollout has been extraordinary and confidence in the formula is high.
I'm sure that we've all been cheered by the images that we've seen of so many eligible young people coming forward and lining up to get the jab, showing that the enthusiasm for the jab is not just the preserve of older generations.
The first new treatment for Alzheimer's in nearly 20 years has been approved for use by regulators in the US. As the BBC's Catherine DaCosta reports, the controversial medicine targets the underlying cause of the disease.
The drug's given as a monthly infusion. It targets amyloid. That's a protein that builds up clumps in the brain of people with Alzheimer's. And the first treatment on the market that attacks the cause of the disease rather than just easing the symptoms. Late-stage trials involving around 3,000 patients worldwide were halted in March 2019 when analysis showed that the drug was no better than a placebo. But later that year, the manufacturer Biogen analysed more data and concluded that the drug did work as long as it was given in higher doses.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
3 words make a big difference to our local dairy farmers. FIVEaa Milk Company. In your supermarket now.
It's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. The off-field re-signings are set to continue at Westlakes, with Darcy Fogarty set to put pen to paper on a new contract extension, keeping him at the club until at least the end of 2023. The Crows take on St Kilda this weekend. The Saints set to be without Tim Membry and Seb Ross, with the pair heading home to be with family in Melbourne after the birth of their children. Meantime, dual Brownlow medalist Adam Goodes has reportedly knocked back an offer to be inducted into Australian football's Hall of Fame. Nine's Adam Pont reports.
The Sydney Swan Star is now eligible for the honour, having been retired for 5 years, an undisputed first-year selection by the Hall of Fame committee. But the Herald Sun is reporting the 41-year-old is rejecting the honour due to the way he was treated during the final 18 months of his distinguished career. Goodes was booed out of the game in 2015 and subject to continual racial abuse, with friends saying he now does not watch or attend AFL matches. He also declined a lap of honour on grand final day that year for retired players.
Well, the Socceroos have maintained their perfect record in World Cup qualifying thus far, hammering Chinese Taipei 5-1 in Kuwait. But the biggest goal celebration came in the second half when the Soccer Minnows scored.
Cutback is on and placed home. They score against the Socceroos again, Chinese Taipei, and look at the celebrations.
That audio thanks to Fox. Defending French Open tennis champion Iga Swiatek is through to the quarterfinals after a straight sets win this morning. Wins also for Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic on the men's side. And an emotional Marcus Armitage has broken through for his first European Tour title win. The 33-year-old Englishman taking out the Porsche Open in Germany by a shot. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Get a great end of financial year deal on used and executive-driven vehicles. Now at Dave Potter.
Good morning. Got a severe weather warning current today. Roads are pretty wet and slippery. Take some extra care. Walkley Heights got a smash this morning. Wright Road and Walkley's Road. Beverley, truck fire. That's on Port Road near Howards Road as you're heading into the city. Between Stirling and the tunnels today, the freeway speeds down to 80 k's due to the weather. And look out for speed cameras today. Dawes Road, Ascot Park and Days Road at Angle Vale. Let Alfred James help you lock in today's funeral prices with a prepaid funeral before June 30. Your locally family-owned funeral director, Alfred James. The final farewell matters. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Switch and save on car service and repairs with Service Now Pay Later options. Call 1300 Automasters.
Showers today and 13, a morning shower or two tomorrow 14, Thursday cloudy 16 degrees. Right now it's 7. More news as it happens on 5AA.
In the last hour on Adelaide's 5AA.
Amazon founder Jeff Bezos says he and his brother will fly on the first crewed space flight from his rocket company Blue Origin next month. That is putting your money where your mouth is, isn't it?
There's 3 spots on this flight. One of them is being sold by auction. The bidding is currently at $3 billion. The thing that worries me about space travel is it doesn't seem accessible to the common man.
Yeah, that's...
Obviously, Jem, with this rain, SAPOL has a road weather warning.
Weather is terrible. They didn't put this in the brochure for the Poms coming over, that's for sure.
Brett Gage is working diligently over at the Weather Bureau this morning.
Rainy heading for a top of 13 degrees. Burnt-out Creek has had the highest gauging of 32.5 millimetres. Official city observation at West Terrace, we've had 12 millimetres.
I'm an absolute dinosaur nut. I had no idea that we had anything even close to this big.
Not what you expect to find in your backyard exactly, is it? So quite a surprise to find the bones of Australia's largest dinosaur in west of Eromanga on our property.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
9 after 7, we're going to talk weather incidents overnight with the SES in about 10 minutes' time. If you had one in your area, be it localised flooding, tree branches that had come down or anything of that nature, let us know, 8223 0000. We're compiling some info and intel from people with rain gauges too about how much it rained and where. Tony from Victor Harbour said he got a touch over 18 mils in the gauge. Thank you. The high watermark still at Jupiter Creek, 32.5. We got a text on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line a little bit earlier. Then after 7:30 today, Phil Curry, and a little bit later we'll be talking the origins of the coronavirus, the Wuhan lab theory that received a real leg up earlier this week, and some emails from Dr. Anthony Fauci in the United States and some of his cohort of people that he worked with all seem to have a similar strain of thought in the early days that very quickly they just totally dismissed. It all seems very curious. We'll speak with Sherry Markson, who's led the reporting on this from day dot. Then Alan Cumming from the Cabaret Festival after 8:30 today. The most extraordinary thing you'll read anywhere on planet Earth today, I think, is wrapped around the Advertiser this morning and features in all the big News Limited papers here in Australia. And it has to do with one of the most outrageous police sting you will ever read about. A 3-year operation. Australian federal agents were secretly monitoring a Trojan horse app and mobile phone device operated by the FBI that was being used by organised crime gangs to plan everything from executions, drug deals, industrial scale money laundering and gun running. The gangs, criminal enterprises from bikie gangs here to the Triad to the Mafia, just about anyone you can name was using this phone and handset and app device called Anom. They believed it was the ultimate communications device that meant that nothing they said could be detected by police. They were operating outside the bounds of normal telecommunications networks, and they could do so with impunity. In fact, the whole thing was devised by an Australian AFP figure and some FBI agents who were having a few beers one day.
So did they invent the app?
What they did was it's not just an app. It's a phone with everything stripped off it. So imagine your phone you've got, and you just delete everything, all the software, absolutely everything.
So your phone becomes nothing other than an OM tool.
That's right. And it carries just this one piece of software and a different SIM card. And so as far as you're concerned, this doesn't work on Optus or Telstra. It's its own network.
Yeah, right.
They planted it with a key crime figure in Turkey who started distributing it to his network. And the nature of this was, you could get access to a device that no one could detect anything you say.
Now, this bloke
everyone
in Turkey,
got it.
He's got a bit of explaining to do, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Because he basically roped all these people into it, and the extent of people who've been caught, there's dozens of Comanchero bikies, 2 reality TV stars, members of the Mafia, people with links to Central American drug cartels, and a bloke who had $1.5 million in so-called dirty cash. All of them had the app.
Well, have a listen to some of these numbers. So they say, police are saying they foiled 21 murder plots. They stopped the trafficking of billions of dollars worth of drugs into Australia. They foiled money laundering and gun running. They have arrested more than 100 people, 3,366 kilos of drugs, $35.8 million of cash seized, 72 firearms confiscated. There is an expectation that there will be a huge increase in the number of people arrested as a result of Operation Ironside in the next couple of days too. There'll be 4,000 police raiding properties all across Australia at the moment. 3 years of work has culminated in this incredible scheme that's been run across the world. You'd almost never think this could work. It's so outrageous.
One of them was a young Asian Australian woman who was a star of Australian Ninja.
The other Warrior.
Yeah, that's right, Ninja Warrior. The other one was some buffy cheesecake-looking bloke who was on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, one of the contestants there. All of them got a lot of explaining to do. But is this... I'd like to know more about the app, because I use WhatsApp, and I use WhatsApp to communicate mainly with people in politics who use it because they think it's untraceable.
It's encrypted.
Is it untraceable?
I can't answer that question. I don't,
because we get all sorts of little juicy tidbits. I've got stuff looking at my phone.
Well,
now
here's the question. Here's a question: if you're an organised crime figure, what's accessible and monitored actively? and what can be seized if you get a warrant. So
Well, that's it, because I've always wondered, like, if someone sent you something on WhatsApp that you do a story about, but say it ends up, well, okay, a scenario, and this has never happened because it's totally against the law, but if someone was to send me a cabinet document, which is an illegal thing to do, and I wrote a story based on a leaked cabinet document, could the cops then say, well, we don't care if you got it off WhatsApp, we're going to force you to hand that over? Can they seize your phone?
I don't know. I think politically it'd look pretty bad if it was something that was, ultimately in the public interest. So I'm not even sure that would be pursued that vigorously. But I think the advantage of something like this was it exists so outside of the world. The idea was to criminals, it exists so outside of the normal lines of communication that in their view, police didn't even know what they'd be asking over.
No, that's right.
They thought this was a network that was devised just for their usage, when in fact the entire thing was being monitored the entire time.
The funny thing is, it's the sting of the century, but it's also probably the easiest job in the world for these cops, because they're just sitting there reading everything on the app.
It's just amazing.
It's coming to work. Yeah, let's see what they got for us today.
So it's worth reading every word of the coverage around the tyres there today. Some of the stuff about executions that were planned, where the guys had planned, this is the spot, we'll find the guy, and the AFP could tell local police, hey, you might want to just be in this area, because if these guys turn up, they're planning to do this. And it must have been the shock of all time for these crims who'd turn up going, how in the hell could have anyone known this?
We got a rat.
Yeah, that's right.
One there for the fans of The Departed. Great film.
One of the great films. All right, it's 16 after 7. Let's check traffic thanks to Dave Potter. Get a great end of financial year deal on used and executive-driven vehicles now at Dave Potter.
Got a severe weather warning current for the roads, so take some extra care today. Modbury Heights pothole, McIntyre's Road near the Golden Waits, 2 metres wide and 20 centimetres deep. It's full of water, so it doesn't look like much, but be very careful around there. Mount Barker, flooding on Adelaide Road near Druids Avenue. At Modbury, McIntyre Road near Wrights Road, the right-hand lane is closed northbound. And between Stilling and the tunnels this morning, the freeway speeds reduced down to 80 k's due to the weather. Ready to tackle a stack? Score free delivery with your KFC Zinger Stacker Burger, only on the KFC app this Wednesday. Winner, winner, Zinger dinner. This offer not everywhere and not forever. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Leon Biner.
When I saw this, I thought, my God, how can this be happening? But it is. Patients could find themselves over $10,000 out of pocket for common surgeries, as there are huge changes to the Medicare rebate scheme.
9 till 12 weekdays.
Professor Stephen Duckett.
On the 1st of July, there are going to be 900 changes to the Medicare schedule.
SSA as Leon Biner. SSA as AA.
It's incredible. Over 75% of tickets in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery have already been sold. Don't miss your chance to live the dream in this fully furnished Scott Salisbury home on the Esplanade at South Brighton that comes with $1 million cash. There are over 15,000 incredible prizes to win, including luxury vehicles, local getaways and so much more. Get your tickets today at homelottery.com.au and join the fight for cures, better treatments and improved care.
Licence M13989.
If you want to build a new home, something that reflects you and your lifestyle, speak with Beechwood Homes. And just so you know, they won't try and sell you a house plan. In fact, there's no house plans until you tell them what you want. So go for it. Start thinking of all the possibilities or get in touch with Beechwood Homes for a few thought starters. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. For inspiration, visit the stunning Beechwood Homes display home in Blackwood Park.
Living with osteoarthritis means living with pain, but SportsMed is changing that thanks to the revolutionary GLAD program. Here's SportsMed's Dr. Greg Keane with more.
GLAD is a 6-week exercise program performed in groups, and it continues to produce remarkable results for patients, even a year after completing the course. If you are struggling with the pain of osteoarthritis, visit SportsMed. Let's beat this.
SportsMed.
Start living life again, even with arthritis.
Sportsmed.com.au.
The Barossa Valley is a place where things mature well, and the locals really appreciate good vintage, which is why it makes sense to make the vine change and call the Barossa home. Barossa Village in Angaston, Tanunda and Nuriotpa gives you the retirement lifestyle you deserve. 1, 2 and 3 bedroom homes are now available in safe, connected communities under an hour from the city. Mature well and let it breathe at Barossa Village. Find out more at barossavillage.org.
Baths. They come in dozens of styles, but it's not a proper bath unless it covers your toes, knees and chest. If you're planning your dream bathroom and what you want isn't on your selections list, ask for ABK Supplies, Adelaide Bathroom and Kitchen Supplies. As a local independent specialist, ABK Supplies has a large range of brands, not just the ones your builder is stuck with. Ask for ABK Supplies. Go to abksupplies.com.au or see the showroom at Lower North East Road opposite Dernicourt Village.
The smartest investments in your home add value, style and functionality. Like custom plantation shutters from Country. Get a sensational look with shutters that are easy to use and help your home stay warmer in winter and cooler in summer. Now that's smart. Custom plantation shutters from Country. Let's make your home look amazing. Visit countryblinds.com.au for a free measuring quote.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide.
With Australia's largest tyre range, Bob Jane T-Marts will look after you with their best tyre price guarantee. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
20 after 7, we're beginning rain intel from you all right throughout the morning on the Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line, like this from Sharon, who says that's 16.5 mils in the gauge at Athelston. There's about another 8 on the way today, the Bureau tells us. Expect yesterday there was probably issues too with trees going over and localised flooding and whatnot. And for that, David O'Shaughnessy, the SES State Duty Officer, joins us. David, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Now, David, judging on the carry-on in my backyard yesterday, it sort of felt like the build-up to the rain was worse in terms of the wind than what came after. Or was that just something that happened in my own little patch of earth?
Look, the wind is what caused us the most work and requests for assistance from the community. We responded to just over 100 jobs in the last 24 hours, and the majority of those were due to wind damage, either fallen trees or damaged buildings.
Yeah, right. And was it more sort of late afternoon than overnight that the wind was causing the problems?
Yeah, we saw the jobs build up late in the day. They did start from early in the morning with some stronger gusts, but we did see those winds increase throughout the day, fairly widespread through Adelaide and the hills, but we also saw some jobs down in the southeast and the hills Fleurieu thanks to some sustained strong winds. What was the biggest job you guys got called to? Oh, look, I'm not entirely sure about our biggest job, but I guess the Narracourt area saw some sustained winds for about 5 or 10 minutes, according to the Bureau, which saw about 12 to 15 localised jobs around the Narracourt area. So that was an area of interest for us.
Wow, 12 to 15. So how do these things typically play out from your perspective? Do you end up getting a whole stack of calls from people who are waking up probably around now to find that things have fallen over and fences have come down and whatnot? Or have you found out in the moment and most of the work now is being done overnight?
Yeah, we have found this morning a few people waking up to some damage at their properties. This event has been a smaller event for us. However, it's been a great opportunity for people to prepare their homes for winter and understand the risks of the wind and the rain moving forward into what is our busiest operational period. So on a night like last night, when we had a bit of advance warning, there's going to be a bit of rain, a bit of wind, it was going to be the first time there is this. How many people does the SES have out and about calling out, attending jobs and working? Look, I think at the peak of yesterday, we had around 100 volunteers out and about helping their community. We were supported well by our fire service counterparts in CFS and MFS. And we also had some on-call staff who would help with the coordination and making sure those volunteers have everything they need.
Well, you guys do a wonderful job, David. Really appreciate you coming on this morning, and hopefully not too much damage done out there. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much for your time. Cheers.
Good on you, David.
David O'Shaughnessy, SES State Duty Officer. All right, let's turn our attention to sport. The all-new Kluger Hybrid has arrived at North Point Toyota. Book your test drive. It is the North Point way. Last night, Rowie caught up with Crows CEO Tim Silvers to talk about the $50,000 fine the club got whacked with as a result of COVID breaches.
$50,000 COVID breach, not ideal.
No, well, it wasn't a great week for the club last week. We were disappointed in our actions and we let ourselves down, and we own that. We own the error, and it's an error from top to bottom of the club. So we've accepted a big penalty and we'll address it internally. I think we're a lot better than that, and we let ourselves down, unfortunately.
For me, it's just not a fair and reasonable sanction. How will it affect the club? Because this comes off your soft cap spend. Will it impact on jobs?
Oh, what we'll do, we'll discuss this internally, and we'll work with the AFL and try to find a way that it won't affect people per se, but we're going to have to make some revision on some of our programs. So it's a fine that affects clubs, and we just have to manage it now. And I suppose it's smart by the AFL for all COVID breaches to come out of the soft cap, because it's not just a financial fine; it impacts your footy program. But our plan is that it won't affect people. We'll focus on programs and some revisions around that.
Do the AFL have it in for Adelaide? It certainly feels that way.
Oh, look, I don't think so. I know you get a sense, even in Adelaide, that it's Victorian-centric and that there's a lot of teams. But, look, we put our head out and we did the wrong thing. So we just have to cop our fair whack and get better. I've got great relationships with the AFL. I've been in this industry for over 17 years. So, I'll be able to fly the flag and push for what's right for the Adelaide Crows and the Adelaide Footy Club. But you just got to pick your moments. And we didn't have leverage on this one. But things like the fixture requests, etc., when the time is right, we'll be flying the flag really strongly.
It's a very pragmatic assessment of it, I think, there. And, you got to pick your moment. Absolutely you do. And you can arc up about the dobbing element and the fact that some busybody on the plane took the photo. You can talk, I think, quite validly about the fact that there's been claims that other players from other clubs have also done the same thing. But when you look at that photograph of Tex and the other blokes on the plane not wearing their masks, well, they knew the rules and they didn't abide by them.
Well, I haven't yet heard an adequate explanation as to why it's a fine that comes off the soft cap. It is not as though paying of fines is a competitive balance issue. I don't understand why it's not just a fine that gets paid out of the club's coffers.
But I think that...
Why withdraw it from your capacity to pay people to do jobs?
I think it's been done to make it harder for the club to manage by the AFL, who are utterly obsessed with making sure the season continues, that we don't have games cancelled.
But I don't think
they don't end up having to compensate broadcasters for games not being shown, or I think they've just decided to come down like a ton of bricks to make an example of the club. Because
I don't think the club would willingly just part with 50 if it was just out of revenue as opposed to off the cap that they can spend on staff and their football department and things like that. I think that's just it's misplacing the blame.
The soft cap goes to everything from players being paid for media appearances, doesn't it? It's all that sort of stuff.
No, I think media appearances, soft cap is things like, how much you pay your coaches and how much you pay your head of football and your video analysts and all those kind of people. Because they didn't want it. We're getting into a situation where West Coast could have 25 assistant coaches and North Melbourne had 3.
Yeah.
And they wanted to make sure that there was an even amount of money being spent. You can still spend more, but you've got to you pay a per dollar tax basically now. But so the people only spin up to it. Certainly at the moment when money's tight in the AFL. So that's why people are saying, well, this could cost a job. Because there might be some guy who is out of high school that does video analysis, cuts together the highlight tapes of the weekend of every time Darcy Fogarty was in a marking contest so that the forward coach can analyse it with him, and they go, well, that guy, unfortunately, we can't pay you anymore.
Yeah, right.
That's why I think it's the manner of the levying is unfair. Even if the fine itself is, I appreciate all those issues the AFL currently faces.
Yeah.
Up today with Rowie, Jordan Butts will be on the program. Really good footy story for the Crows this year has been Jordan Butts. Warren Treadray on the program. Always love Treader's analysis, and yet last night, of course, on 9, they had the story of Darcy Fogarty's re-signing for 2 years. Connor Henry from the Adelaide 36ers and Kevin Sheedy on the program tonight as well.
Elevate the everyday in the elegant Renault Koleos SUV. Available from just $32,990 drive away. Contact your local dealer today.
Renault Koleos. Life less ordinary.
At Lendlease Retirement Villages, the kettle's on for personalised tea and tour appointments. See homes, community spaces, or learn about contract options. To book, visit teaandtour.com.au or call 1800 550 550.
Southern Cross Care understands using digital technology isn't always easy, so they've partnered with Your Link to offer the Smart Health Pack, giving older adults the resources and support to help live better.
Now, these are great, these things. The Smart Health Packet includes an Apple iPad, Your Link Tech support for 12 months, Apple support for 12 months, ongoing in-person support from Southern Cross Care, and 2 free telehealth group exercise classes per week for 6 weeks.
Buying a Smart Health Pack can change older adults' lives for the better. You'll learn how to do all sorts of handy things like shop online, stay connected to loved ones, browse the internet, download and use apps, and stream your favourite movies, TV shows and music.
Learn more about the Smart Health Pack. Call Southern Cross Care on 1800 852 772.
What starts with A and ends with E? Supplements for you and me.
FIVEaa health supplements are now available at leading chemists and health food stores nationwide. Ask for FIVEaa at your favourite pharmacy.
When people walk through the doors at Pals, the first thing they say is wow. Not only because of the size and the selection, but also because of the team. Sam and Jamie have tasted every drop. They and their team can recommend a whiskey that's just as good as that hard-to-find Japanese one, if they don't have it, that is. Or a beautiful red that's reminiscent of that outstanding cellar door you once travelled so far to visit. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
Houston, we are about to make contact with Australia. The Eagle has landed.
US Managed Healthcare has landed in Australia with the joint venture between NIB and American giant Cigna Health Corporation. Australians do not want US Managed Healthcare in this country. Let your local federal member know you say no to US Managed Healthcare in Australia. Visit sendtheeaglehome.com.au. Authorised by Kay Gallagher, Australian Society of Ophthalmologists.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers and 13 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Physio Extra, your one-stop shop. Physio, Pilates, podiatry, massage, dietetics. For appointments, visit physioextra.com.
There's an Adelaide link to a major operation that's being billed as the nation's biggest police bust. 4,000 officers and investigators and an app have been involved in Operation Ironside over 3 years, targeting the criminal underworld. More than 100 people have been charged, over 3,500 kilos of drugs and $35 million in cash seized and dozens of firearms confiscated. Locally, 6 men have been charged, police raiding an alleged safe house in Adelaide run by the rebels. SES crews have been busy with more than 100 call-outs in the past 24 hours. Strong winds and rain lashed the state, with more than 25 mils of rain recorded at Mount Lofty and 13 mils in the city. David O'Shaughnessy from the SES has told 5AA Breakfast it was widespread.
The wind is what caused us the most work and requests for assistance from the community. We responded to just over 100 jobs in the last 24 hours, and the majority of those were due to wind damage, either fallen trees or damaged buildings. Fairly widespread through Adelaide and the hills, but we also saw some jobs down in the southeast and the hills Fleurieu thanks to some sustained strong wind.
Rainfall of up to 8 mils is forecast for Adelaide for the rest of today, with possible small hail. A woman's been busted more than 7 times the legal limit in the hills. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says she got into trouble at Belair.
A car drove over an embankment on Old Belair Road. Police attended and breath tested the driver, and she recorded an alcohol reading of 0.371.
The 60-year-old has been reported and lost her licence for 12 months. Overcrowding in our public hospitals is back in the spotlight. The Royal Adelaide issued an internal disaster code yesterday due to high levels of demand in the emergency department. Bernadette Mulholland from the Salaried Medical Officers Association says the system is in crisis.
When we see ramping, when we see the blocks in our emergency departments, what we're seeing is the symptom as to what's actually happening overall in our health system, and that's just a block. That's just not enough resourcing for the community, for the patients that are presenting.
Australia's vaccine rollout continues to ramp up, with over 40s eligible for the COVID injection from today. Nine's Michael Packy has more.
Just over 5 million doses of the COVID vaccine have been administered since the start of the rollout in February. Most have gone to frontline health and hotel quarantine workers, along with aged care residents. From today, more people will be offered the shot, including all over 40s, Indigenous people, those on the National Disability Insurance Scheme and their carers. The vaccine will also be extended to temporary visa holders aged under 50. The federal government says supplies are increasing and people are being urged to get their injection as soon as they can.
Reports out of the UK suggest Her Majesty has invited Prince Harry to lunch when he returns to the UK in a couple of weeks for the unveiling of a new Diana statue. Harry has been on the outer since relocating to the US and talking about life in the royal family in a number of interviews. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Who loves South Australia as much as you do? Fluorio Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Adelaide still isn't sure if Saturday night's match against St Kilda will be played in Cairns. The club's expecting to find out today. CEO Tim Silvers telling Rowie there's a good chance it will be relocated.
If I was a betting person, I'll be leaning towards the Sydney as the likely venue, but that's to be confirmed. And I think the backup will be Giant Stadium, not the SCG.
Port Adelaide and Geelong's match is expected to go ahead as scheduled on Thursday night, with confirmation also expected today. Meantime, Essendon's Nicholas Cox is the round 12 NAB Rising Star nominee. The midfielder picked up a career-high 23 disposals, 8 marks, 4 clearances and a goal in the loss to Richmond on Saturday night. To tennis, and Iga Swiatek, Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic have all advanced to the quarter-finals of the French Open. Nine's Craig Gabriel is in Paris.
It was an extraordinary winner from Swiatek that gave her the match against Marta Kostyuk to put her into the quarters 6-3, 6-4. There was a lot of scrambling and she flicked the ball high, looking as if it would go out. It landed on the line. She'll play Maria Sakkari. Nadal and Djokovic advanced, Nadal beating Yannick Sinner in straight sets. Djokovic got past Lorenzo Musetti and Diego Schwartzman is also through.
And the Socceroos have made it 6 wins from 6 matches in their World Cup qualifying group after a comfortable 5-1 win rout of Chinese Taipei. Mitchell Duke bagging a brace in the match, which was played in Kuwait. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Get a great end of financial year deal on used and executive-driven vehicles. Now at Dave Potter.
Got a severe weather warning current at the moment, so roads are pretty wet and slippery. Do take some extra care. Modbury Heights today, McIntyre Road and Golden Way. Got a large pothole there, 2 metres wide, 20 centimetres deep, full of water, causing a few headaches. Do look out for that this morning. Speeds on the freeway have been reduced between Crafers and the tunnels there down to 80. And we've got some localised flooding this morning at Mount Barker, Adelaide Road and Druids Avenue. Take some care on the drive-in this morning. The Amazon.com.au media sale is live now with great deals. Plus, new customers get free delivery on your first eligible order. T's apply. Shop amazon.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Switch and save on car service and repairs with Service Now Pay Later options. Call 1300 Automasters.
Showers today, 13. A morning shower or two tomorrow, 14. Thursday, cloudy, 16. Right now it's 8 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
There's never been a better time to explore your own backyard the old-fashioned way with Steam Ranger's Heritage Railway. Aboard Steam Ranger's famous cockle train between Goolwa and Victor Harbour. And trains from Mount Barker now in season to Bugle Ranges or Goolwa, with special winter fares to Strathalbyn and Victor Harbour when you book by phone. For ticket info, travel dates and destinations, call 1300 655 991 or visit Steam Ranger online.
Don't wait for spring to get cleaning. This cooler weather's perfect for spending time at home decluttering. And by donating your quality clothing and homewares to Vinnie's, you can feel good about letting them go, because profits from their sale will help people doing it tough in our community. You could even say that Vinnie's are compassion converters, transforming your pre-loved treasures into a hand-up for people who need it. Find out where to donate at vinnies.org.au/shops.
With Australia's largest tyre range, Bob Jane T-Marts will look after you with their best tyre price guarantee. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 to 8. We'll get our regional spotlight coming up in just a moment. John Blake before 8 o'clock. Lots on the program after 8 as well. Make sure you stick around for the 5AA Sports Show tonight as well, thanks to the all-new Kluger Hybrid that's arrived at North Point Tow to book your test drive today. It's the North Point way. Huge show that Roey's got on a little bit later today. But first, let's talk federal politics. Phil Curry from the Australian Financial Review joins us. Morning to you, Phil.
Good morning, fellas.
Thanks for joining us, Phil. So it looks like the PM is getting a bit fed up with the blunt instrument of lockdown being used in such an open-ended way in Victoria to manage that outbreak. Is there a risk for the PM in doing this? Because Victoria, the government there, and particularly their Chief Health Officer, Brett Sutton, they really seem to be a complete law unto themselves in how they manage things.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, up until now, there's been a lot of frustration here, not just to the fact they went into this statewide lockdown, when there was no real reason to lock down the regions at all, but the fact that it seems to have got away from them again down there, and they're blaming the federal government for vaccines, which isn't really much to do with it. It's a part of it, but it's not. It's their systems again in Victoria. But the feds bit their lip. Morrison told his party, don't say anything, don't have a fight, punters hate. They just want it fixed. People are really sick of governments bickering over this. But you could sort of see yesterday it was starting to bubble up a bit as the Victorians started making hints about extending the lockdown again, even though 9 of the 11 cases were all known, close contacts and they're all in isolation, so it wasn't like this getting... So there is a bit of annoyance. I think the Prime Minister's probably tapping into the sentiment in Victoria. But I hear people down there have just had it. This one's really starting to drive people mad. You don't have to do much down there. They're fairly, already primed down there. It was interesting because there's no Parliament this week. There was Parliament last week and Parliament next week. And very few of the Victorian MPs have gone home. They're just staying here for the week. They don't want to go back.
So they're all still just sitting around in Canberra?
They're all just working out of their Canberra offices, and you can't blame them, because you go back there, you can't get out again, and everyone's had enough. So I suspect the PM's just tapping into that. And look, it's annoying all of us. It's once more the country's having to bail them out, in terms of vaccines and financial support, and really the government down there just seems to be, just Teflon. They're never accountable for anything.
I think the fact that their opposition team to be complete half-wits, though, that's a big part of it, isn't it?
That helps, yeah. You can get away with a bit. There's a bit of that in this country, yeah.
Phil, what's the headline for Australia that's going to come out of the G7 summit in a couple of days in Cornwall? Scott Morrison's going to be there. What will matter to Australians?
China. So look, there'll be a bit on climate change, but I think they'll all just sort of talk around that and all agree more needs to be done. And Scott Morrison will say, look, we're already dropping our emissions by 20% since 2005, and we're not going to be rushed, but we'll have more to say at Glasgow. But I think the big issue will be China from our perspective. The fact that the G7 are the big sort of 7 powerhouse economies, and they've invited Australia as guests, Australia, South Korea and India. They're all 3 countries very important in the Indo-Pacific in terms of containing China. So that'll be the elephant in the room. The Prime Minister will be having talks with Boris Johnson, Joe Biden. He's going to France to talk to Macron about submarines, but also China, the British and the French are talking about boosting their naval presence in the Pacific, and there's talk of Australia doing sailing, doing naval sail through the South China Sea with these guys. So it's really important for us in terms of we've sort of got alliances in the region in helping contain China, but now you bring in the big countries like France, the UK, Germany, and in terms of symbolism, that will be pretty big.
It'd be good if the PM could take a dozen bottles of South Australian Red and put on a bit of an impromptu tasting for the not just the G7, the other G7 members, but particularly the Indians and the South Koreans to get them into the the local stuff, make up for the shortfall from China.
A few lobsters from the southeast, you reckon?
Yeah, bit of
take an esky with dry
ice. Kingston SE action. Larry the Lobster.
Yeah,
put on a bit of a roadshow.
There's other things to do. I mean, actually, in that vein, Dave, I've got to try and sort of settle a free trade deal with the United Kingdom. That's held up on agriculture as always, so they're going to try and nail that down. And the subs contract too is looking very rattly, so he's going to see Macron in Paris straight afterwards to sort of get the French to keep their end of the bargain on that. So there's a fair bit on this trip.
Yeah. Good
so
stuff.
I can talk about the Carlton Football Club too. I think they've got to be elevated to G7 status.
Didn't they announce yesterday they're going to have another
internal review?
Another internal review
or external review?
External review.
A review into the inquiry, and the joint needs a bomb under it. It's clearly broken at every single level. I think Kane Corns has been making more sense on Carlton than anyone for a long time, and I think everyone else is starting to wake up to it. It's broken at every level, that club. And
what about Teague? You must just be going, what have I walked into? Like, they don't seem to have any patience as a club. They can't sort of look at the list and think, you know. Yeah,
look, I don't think it's not just the coach. I think he's out of his depth a little bit, but it's more than that. You know, the teams, they don't pick good teams. They recruit poorly. The whole culture of the place is terrible. It's a culture of mediocrity. They haven't won a granny for over a quarter of a century, and there's just no mongrel in the club. And I think it's just broken at every level from the board down. I think just do what needs to be done, because it's getting worse rather than better. I could go on all day, and I will.
How often do you talk to the treasurer, Josh Frydenberg, about this, mate? Because he'd probably share a lot of your thoughts.
I'm going to ask him next time he stands. He's the number one ticket holder now.
Yeah.
No, Josh is very diplomatic, but he's as frustrated as anyone, I can guarantee. But I wrote a 1,600-word piece on it a couple of weeks ago. I was so annoyed, and we published it on the Financial Review website, and it went mad. It was our third most read piece.
It was a great piece.
I wrote it in 5 minutes. I just sat down and went, what?
They're always the best ones, where it just blurts out of you, where it's just like something you got to get off your chest.
Pretty much. Could do with a good edit, but anyway. Yeah.
No, let it run.
You could do the external review, Phil. Have they asked you to be part of it yet?
Take me 5 minutes.
You get out.
Didn't the Crows do one?
Yeah. Jason Dunstall did it.
Yeah, you guys are looking all right. I don't think you.
Well, that's true. Like, there's.
I'd rather be you than us, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, you can you can see what the future looks like, even though they're still losing most of the time.
The problems, it's fundamentally different problem, was the Crows, who had to be dragged kicking and screaming to do a review, had never done anything like it ever before. Feels like Carlton have a review every couple of years of some description.
Oh, no, we haven't had one for a while, but we just sack people. But it's I think we're on to our fourth coach and third president and goodness knows what. But nothing seems to work. So there's something structural there that's just completely broken. Doesn't matter who you recruit and what you do, it just doesn't work.
Be a good book, actually. As an example, how great organisations go bad. It's weird. How the culture can just change and get entrenched so quickly. Anyway, good to talk to you about federal politics, Phil.
You ask Kane Corns about the G7.
Yeah, we'll get him on.
Okay. A round table. Good on you, Phil.
He'll be trolling some of the world leaders by the end of the day.
Phil Curry from the Australian Financial Review. That felt cathartic for Phil just then, didn't it?
Yeah,
he needed to be heard.
That was good.
All right, let's check traffic. Thanks to Dave Potter. Get a great end of financial year deal on used and executive-driven vehicles right now at Dave Potter.
Got a severe weather warning current today. Roads are pretty wet and slippery. Kingswood got a smash. 2 cars involved there. Cross Road and Belair Road. Westbourne Park, Goodwood Road and Edward Street. I got a traffic light malfunction there. Take some extra care. Modbury Heights, pothole on McIntyre's Road near the Golden Ways heading into the city. 2 metres wide, full of water. Take some extra care. And speeds reduced today between Stirling and the tunnels on the freeway, down to 80 k's due to the weather. COVID-19 vaccinations are now available for people 50 years and over. Roll up now. Book at covidvaccine.sa.gov.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
How do you know you're in South Australia? Well, we make a great coffee with Festival Mad. And we have Leader computers. Yep, world-class Leader computers are made and serviced right here in Adelaide. It means everything you need for your business or home computing is local, not overseas, not interstate. So if something does go wrong, there's no runaround. Live life local. Live life Leader. Leader Computers. To find your local dealer, visit leadersystems.com.au.
Wrap up warm, pack up the car and hit the road. It's time to beat the winter blues and book your next getaway. With the help of SA Weekend Escapes, make the most of this South Australian winter. Discover new destinations, rediscover old. Find things to do, places to see and uncover our latest hotel offers. This winter, stay at one of 10 participating SA hotels and receive a complimentary bottle of red to warm up your trip. Find out more at saweekendescapes.com.au. Holiday here this year.
If the COVID-19 restrictions have impacted your fitness, the services you receive, or your ability to stay connected, or maybe you know someone who's been affected, aged care provider ACH Group, in partnership with the Adelaide Primary Health Network, have free health and wellbeing packages available.
Now, if you or someone you know is aged over 65 years of age or 55 years for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders, and you live in metropolitan Adelaide, you may may qualify for one of these special packages which have been developed by health professionals and can be tailored to your individual needs.
Over a 6-week period, package recipients will be connected with services and activities including general practice, allied health, mental health and social support networks to improve physical activity, to regain and maintain independence, build and strengthen social connections and to support access to technology for online and virtual connection. If you'd like to find out some more, just go to achgroup.org.au.
I'm Kathy Nagel, the Chief Executive of Western Hospital Henley Beach. We strive to cater for the needs of our community and are committed to providing clinical services to all eligible patients. Western Hospital has now opened our cardiovascular hybrid theatre, a state-of-the-art operating theatre for cardiac and vascular procedures. Ask your GP for a referral to one of our Western Heart and Vascular medical staff. Western Hospital, your hospital that cares. Call 8159 1200 or visit westernhospital.com.au.
You possibly won't find Australia's largest range of rollers, spare parts and accessories for sliding doors and windows at your local hardware store. I mean, I guess you could try, but nah. Instead of wasting time, how about you save time? Visit rollerco.com.au. Because spare parts for sliding doors and windows is what we do. Our warehouse is full of them. rollerco.com.au. We'll get you rolling.
Major road resurfacing works on the South Eastern Freeway between the Toll Gate and Hyson tunnels will be underway until mid-2021. Motorists should expect delays, so allow extra travel time. Visit dit.sa.gov.au/SE Freeway. A message from the Government of South Australia.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Buy 3, get 1 free and instant cashback on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
11 to 8. Ben's concerned for Phil Curry's well-being on the Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line. He says it's time to get Phil to give up on Carlton and get him to the Crows. Must be better for his health and sanity. He sounded at wit's end, old Phil.
He did.
He did. Really distressing to hear him that way.
I know that tone of voice on Phil.
I'll tell you what, a good way to take care of your health and well-being at the moment, be part of 5AA's team that got out into the regions to speak to businesses and work out how we as an entity in Adelaide and an Adelaide-run business that cares about businesses here and that component of the economy in South Australia, but we wanted to connect more with the regions. Few people around here raised an eyebrow and thought, okay, I know the sorts of companies we'll be connecting a bit more with.
Yeah, restaurants.
Kaesler Wines might be one of them.
Ooh, I love Kaesler Wines.
Well, as
the
it
Bogan.
turns out,
the Bogan.
The enjoyment that our sales team got out in doing this transfers to you because you can win a tasting experience and artisanal platter for 4 people at Kaesler Wines. All you need to do is be the third caller through on 8223 0055 right now. 8223 0055. Kaesler Wines, the home of the Bogan and champions of regenerative farming. Jane Riley got out there to experience it all.
Today, we're off to the Barossa Valley to Kaesler Wines, and I'm talking to Reid Boswell, who's the winemaker there. Hi, Reid. I hear that you've got a couple of wines that have got absolute cult followings, mainly because of their names and how good they are.
The biggest and the loudest of them is the Bogan.
Yeah.
It's a Shiraz that actually comes off all of our Barossa vineyards. It sells for about $55, but it's an absolutely genius and brilliant representation of the Barossa Valley in general. The Old Bastard is the most premier of them. That's about $260. That's sort of an icon of the Barossa Valley. This year, the release is the 2018. It comes from a vineyard that's over 125 years old, so it's what's called an ancestor vine. And I think there's only maybe 10 wines from the Barossa Valley that qualify for that.
It sounds like your vineyard is steeped in history.
More history than you can imagine. It's actually material that has come straight from Europe.
Wow.
It's fantastic stuff, and we're very blessed as a region to have it.
Do you know if the Bogan and the Old Bastard were actually named after certain people?
There might be a little bit of truth in that.
Reid, I have been to your vineyard and your cellar door, and it is a must-see when you go to the Barossa Valley.
Yeah, please come and have a look, anyone out there. and what you're tasting in your glass is what you can see.
Yeah, I love it. I love how close it is to the city. You know, just on an hour for most parts of Adelaide, you can be there, and you do feel like you're somewhere in Europe, and we all just love travelling through our regional areas right now. Hey, lovely talking to you today, and thank you once again. It's great that you've come on board as part of 5AA's Regional Spotlight, getting people out and about, looking at what's happening in the beautiful and great parts of South Australia.
And it was certainly part of South Australia. They got a bit of rain yesterday. We've been hearing from listeners right across the morning about what they got in the gauge. Barbara called, for example, said 15 mils at Ardrossan. Thank you, Barbara. Appreciate that. 8223 our number. You can text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. Weather very much been topic of conversation today. And Chelsea Carey has the latest information for us from 9 News. Chelsea, good morning to you.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, great to hear the heavy rain overnight. I sure woke up a couple of times to hear it pouring down. In the city, we've picked up 13 millimetres. Across the suburbs, we've had 16 millimetres at Old Noarlunga and Greenacres, 18 mils at Banksia Park, and a few places in the hills picked up 30 millimetres, Achunga with 32 mils. And the showers will continue to roll through today. Another 3 to 8 millimetres expected for the city. There is also the chance of a thunderstorm. We did see some hail overnight and potentially more hail around today, and that's because conditions are just so cold. We have a top of only 13 degrees for the city. It is still a little windy out there, so those winds do make it feel even colder. So make sure you have those winter woolies handy today. And tomorrow as well, we have a top of just 14 degrees with a morning shower or two. But then conditions generally easing, looking fine as we head into the weekend. Mild as well, 19 on Sunday, and 19 is going to feel nice and warm after we get through today, boys.
Good on you, Chelsea. Thank you for that. Chelsea Carey from 9 News. 14 mils at Nailsworth. Chad's just let us know on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. And Wally says they're starting to get thunderstorms at Wallaroo. Hopefully there is some rain in it, says Wally. Thank you for that. 5 to 8, John Blake in a moment.
G'day, it's Eddie May from NRG Solar. I'm no fortune teller, but if you don't have solar on your roof, I can tell you your next power bill is going to be huge. There's a price for keeping warm all winter, and you're about to pay it. Stop paying huge bills. Get in touch with NRG Solar, and from just $59 a fortnight, you could have a quality NRG solar system on your roof. From just $59 a fortnight, you could wipe out your power bills. Visit nrgsolar.com.au today.
Ready? Here we go. Mawson Lakes Mazda's end of financial year clearance is on now. Not the first clearance we've done, but let me tell you, there's never been one like this. The prices are way low, but the choices are so high. We've got hundreds in stock, so chances are you'll get your dream model in the colour you're after. Grab an end of financial year price on the car you've been waiting for. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city, Salisbury Highway.
This is a paid message from the Australian Society of Ophthalmologists. US Managed Healthcare has landed in Australia with a joint venture between NIB and American giant Cigna Health Corporation. US Managed Healthcare means the health insurer seeks to exert control over your care, including cost of treatment, extent of treatment, choice of doctors, choice of hospital and more. With our Australian system, you have a choice, and with US Managed Healthcare, you won't. It's that simple. If you want to be able to choose, then let's send the Eagle home. Let your federal member know that you say no to US Managed Healthcare in Australia. For further information, visit sendtheeaglehome.com.au, authorised by Kay Gallagher, Australian Society of Ophthalmologists.
Be part of a retirement community designed around your well-being. At Lendlease Retirement Villages, you'll feel connected, safe and secure, so you can focus on what makes you happy. Search Lendlease Retirement South Australia.
5AA's Business Lounge with Leith Forrest.
Thank you for joining us. I'm here with Tom Clark, the CEO from Workspace. Welcome back, Tom.
Thanks, Leith.
How have offices changed since the pandemic?
The pandemic has accelerated the model of the hub and spoke, where people come into work for 3 or 4 days a week. They might work from a satellite office on another day, and the actual physical commercial furniture has changed. We at Workspace can help you with your planning to get people back to the office and provide them an environment that's collaborative, it's informative, it's innovative, and importantly, one that welcomes everyone. So we We need to design environments that encourage people back, and they need to be comfortable.
What does a workspace look like now?
It's changed. The traditional rows of desks are gone. We need to make workplaces that are fun. Also, they encourage collaboration, innovation and partnership.
You're also celebrating a very big milestone this year.
Indeed, our 110th year of manufacturing right here in South Australia.
So Workspace is ready to go to work for you. How do people get in touch?
Head to our website, workspace.com.au.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide. With Australia's largest tyre range, Bob Jane T-Marts will look after you with their best tyre price guarantee. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
2 to 8, breaking at 8, not too far away. 5AA News on the way as well. But first, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers, call Aussie Fast 13 13 64. It's time for John Blake.
Come in.
Good morning, Your Majesty.
Yes, hello, Geoffrey.
I trust you had a pleasant evening, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. What's on today?
Well, we've had news from your grandson, ma'am.
Oh, Harry?
Yes, and his wife.
Oh, you mean...
Yes.
Madeline.
Megan, I think, ma'am.
Yes, something like that.
It's my pleasure to congratulate you on becoming a great-grandparent once again.
Oh, I see that's all happened, has it?
Yes, she gave birth to a baby girl, ma'am.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and they've named the child Lilibet, ma'am.
Oh, Lilibet was my childhood nickname.
Yes, ma'am.
And what about the middle name?
Yes, the middle name they chose, ma'am, was the
Come on, Geoffrey, out with it.
It was the first personal pronoun of the late mother of the father of the child, being your grandson, the aforementioned Duke of Sussex, ma'am.
Oh, right. What was it?
The middle name of the child was the first name of the former wife of the firstborn of your children and the mother of your grandchildren, ma'am.
Oh, you mean...
Yes, it's Diana.
Oh, yes. Well, Lilibet's lovely, isn't it?
Yes, it is, ma'am, and congratulations are pouring in to both parents from all around the world.
Oh, that's good. And people are being nice?
It would seem so.
Lovely. And how long do you think it will be?
How long till...
Until the press and everybody else in the world turns on them again and treats them like the scum of the earth.
Oh, I should think a week or two.
More like a couple of days, I would have thought.
Yes, ma'am.
The people and the press are such, oh, you know...
Bastards, ma'am.
Bastards. Thank you, Geoffrey.
You're welcome,
Was it like a royal behind closed doors?
It was. You've got to be careful cracking jokes about the royal. See, the BBC censored a comedy show because...
Did they really?
Well, a comedian cracked a joke saying that when you turn 100, you get a letter from the Queen, and when you turn 16, you get a text message from Prince Andrew. And on account of that joke, the entire BBC episode was re-edited and the joke was taken out. You got to be careful making jokes these days.
We would never censor John Blake, except for that time you did.
Except for that. Oh, it was me, was it?
It was rude. It was you. I was.
What about you?
I'm more than happy for offensive material to go to air.
That was about the Royals, wasn't it?
Was it? I honestly can't even remember the context.
Yeah, it was. Let's not talk about it. He would do another even more repellent sketch based around the same concept.
All right, breaking at 8 coming up in just a moment.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers and 13 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience. With 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
Australian Federal Police have smashed a massive crime ring and the importation of billions of dollars worth of drugs. 6 Adelaide men have been charged following a raid on a property with alleged bikie links. Nine's Clinton Maynard reports.
It's being described as the biggest sting in Australian history. A 3-year operation has seen Australian Federal Police access an encrypted messaging app that crime gang leaders thought they were using to communicate in secret. News Corp says as a result, the trafficking of billions of dollars worth of drugs has been exposed, along with money laundering and gun running operations, while 21 murder plots have been foiled. More than 100 people have been charged, more than 3,000 kilograms of drugs seized, almost $36 million in cash recovered in raids involving 4,000 police. High-ranking bikies are among those arrested.
SES crews were called out to more than 100 incidents over the past 24 hours as wild weather hit the state. 32 mils of rain was recorded at Ichunga in the Adelaide Hills, 18 mils at Banksia Park and 13 in the city. David O'Shaughnessy from the SES says the wind caused the most damage, and not just in the metro area.
The Narracoorte area saw some sustained winds for about 5 or 10 minutes, according to the Bureau, which saw about 12 to 15 localised jobs around the Narracoorte area, so that was an area of interest for us.
There have been a couple of car fires in the early hours of this morning. A vehicle was reported alight in a driveway at Elizabeth Downs just after 3. The blaze on Kavanagh Street is being treated as suspicious, while a car has been torched on Howards Road at Beverley. South Australia's vaccine rollout is gathering pace, with 40 to 49-year-olds eligible to get the COVID jab from today. The rollout will also expand to Kangaroo Island and widen to all disability frontline workers. Health experts are again preaching the need for mass vaccination to combat the virus. Epidemiologist Professor Tony Blakely has told Seven it's vital vaccine complacency doesn't set in.
If we get up to 20%, 30%, 40%, it just takes the edge off how fast that virus can spread. Virus that's now twice as infective as a version from last year, we need that vaccine coverage up to keep up with it and get ahead of it.
The trial of 4 men accused over the shooting down of flight MH17 in Ukraine, which killed 38 Australians, has now reached a crucial stage. Nine's Ben Avery reports from London.
Almost 7 years since Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 was shot down, the relatives of the 298 people on board the Boeing 777 are edging closer to justice. In a Dutch court, the trial of 3 Russians and a Ukrainian accused of involvement is now at the merits phase, where key evidence will be discussed. Today, the judges outlined the schedule for the coming days and also made a decision that families of the victims will be allowed to address the court in September. They include Australian-based relatives who, under COVID-19 travel rules, will need to apply for special permission to leave the country to attend.
Jeff Bezos is heading to the final frontier next month. It's been confirmed he'll make his maiden space voyage on Blue Origin's New Shepard. He'll be on board on July 20, a fortnight after he steps down as Amazon's CEO. Also today, up to 40 people have been killed after 2 trains collided in southern Pakistan. A dog stranded on floating Arctic ice has been safely rescued by Russian sailors. And Harry and Meghan will use the 20 weeks parental leave offered to employees of their Archwell Foundation so they can spend a few months at home with their new daughter. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
3 words make a big difference to our local dairy farmers. Fluorio Milk Company. In your supermarket now.
It's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Adelaide is set to be boosted by the signature of Darcy Fogarty. The 21-year-old is out of contract at the end of the season, but it's understood he's recommitted and will put pen to paper on another 2 years at West Lakes. Meantime, work continues off-field for Adelaide as it looks to relocate its home base. CEO Tim Silvers telling Rowie they're looking at a couple of options, one at Brompton and another at Thebarton.
That's a process for us that we'll go through, but we need to keep 2 options on the go because we've got some federal money that's potentially awaiting, and we would like to make a decision on the site. We're suggesting now towards the end of the season.
Meantime, Carlton is reportedly bringing forward an external review following Sunday's loss to West Coast. The Age is reporting incoming President Luke Sayers has already conducted informal interviews with the team while in Sydney. It's being reported at least one player has talked about the lack of clarity in the team's game plan. The Socceroos have all but guaranteed progression to the 3rd round of World Cup qualifying with a 5-1 thrashing of Chinese Taipei this morning. Aussie Dylan Alcott has won his 3rd consecutive quad wheelchair singles title at Roland Garros. Meantime, Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal are through to the quarterfinals after wins overnight. The Blues Origin squad has spent time training with 12 men in preparation for tomorrow night's series opener in Townsville. And the NBA playoffs continue this morning with Brooklyn up against Milwaukee, while Denver will take on Phoenix. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Get a great end of financial year deal on used and executive driven vehicles now at Dave Potter.
Got a severe weather warning current this morning, so roads are pretty wet and slippery. Look out for a collision on the drive-in today at Kingswood. 2 cars involved there, Cross Road and Belair Road. Westbourne Park, got a traffic light malfunction there, Goodwood and Edward Street. Got a large pothole, Modbury Heights, McIntyre Road near the Golden Way. That's as you're driving into the city. And speeds have been reduced between Stirling and the tunnels today down to 80 k's due to the weather. The forecast says showers, but if you'd rather stay dry, pick up Selly's Storm Sealant to prevent leaks from causing water damage. Search Selly's Storm Sealant for more information today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Switch and save on car service and repairs with Service Now Pay Later options. Call 1300 Automasters.
Showers for your Tuesday, 13. A morning shower or two tomorrow, 14. Thursday, cloudy, 16. Right now it's 8 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
In the last hour on Adelaide's 5AA.
David O'Shaughnessy, the SES State Duty Officer, joins us.
The wind is what caused us the most work and requests for assistance from the community. We responded to just over 100 jobs in the last 24 hours. The majority of those were due to wind damage, either fallen trees or damaged buildings.
Police are saying they foiled 21 murder plots. They stopped the trafficking of billions of dollars worth of drugs into Australia. They foiled money laundering and gun running. They have arrested more than 100 people, 3,366 kilos of drugs, $35.8 million of cash seized, 72 firearms confiscated. There is an expectation that there will be a huge increase in the number of people arrested as a result of Operation Ironside in the next couple of days too. There are 4,000 police raiding properties all across Australia at the moment. Chelsea, good morning to you.
In the city, we've picked up 13 millimetres. We've had 16 millimetres at Old Noarlunga and 3 Nakers, 18 mils at Banksia Park, and a few places in the hills picked up at 30 millimetres.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 after 8, we'll have more on Operation Ironside after 8:30 this morning. The journalist who's compiled this incredible piece of reporting for all the News Limited papers right around the country will join us after 8:30. Also, Alan Cumming, the artistic director of the Adelaide Cabaret Festival, before 9 o'clock. And shortly, Sherry Markson was pilloried for a time for reporting on the Wuhan lab theory.
She still has been by that smug Paul, what's his face on Media Watch? What's his name again? Paul Barry?
Yeah.
He's still banging the drum, saying the whole thing's a beat up. It's a pity it's been picked up by everyone from, the Wall Street Journal downwards in terms of being...
Well, yeah. It was... Well, you know what? It was pilloried by media contemporaries on the basis of the manner in which it was rejected by people like Dr. Anthony Fauci and luminaries like that in the United States who said, no, there's nothing in this. Yet, it has been revealed in the last couple of days, they were the ones talking about it initially, and they went in a space of just a couple of days saying there is something deeply suspicious about this, to going, there's nothing in it at all.
We might have to get Dr. Fauci back on the show to ask him a few follow-up questions.
I think we've got some unanswered questions. Dr. Fauci.
That's right.
Our man.
We had such a lovely fireside chat with him back in November.
All right, let's talk traffic. Radar and Golden Grove's called in. What are you seeing out there, Radar?
Well, when you're running late for work, it always happens. That's the first thing. Now,
yeah.
Firstly, I rang prior to your news report. Yeah, the lights are out at McIntyre Road and North East Road. So if you're coming from McIntyre Road, just close your eyes and drive straight ahead. You'll get through. 150 metres further, 150 metres down, further down, heading towards town on the right-hand side. It looked like, Stobie Pole Gate looks like it's returned, but the news indicated it might be a pothole, but there was definitely a bent Stobie Pole.
Okay.
That's affecting traffic heading out of town. There's not a lot of traffic. 2 fire brigades were in pursuit. And now, just to make things, and this has been a pain in the butt all week, as you come off the Darley Road between North East Road and Lower North East Road and Gorge Road, there's roadworks which have been going on for quite a while, and it is slow by the some Italian centre. So look, I'll tell you what, they might have stopped with COVID, they might have stopped the people coming into Australia, but I'll tell you what, it's increased the roadworks. There's roadworks everywhere. So the final comment, congratulations, Will. 2 weeks ago, you Red Boys at Flinders Park beat the Kookaburras by 3 points, but unfortunately you lost on the weekend in North Haven, and there's a team called, in that grade, there's a team called Gazer. They they've gone nuts the last 2 weeks. They looked at on a recruiting campaign. So have a nice day, boys. Stay dry. I'm off to school, and no doubt we'll find some traffic restrictions on the way home.
Hey, Rado, good on you legend. That's a report that had a bit of everything. Traffic, weather, commentary on COVID, amateur league footy as well. Good on you. SAPOL have just put out some advice with regard to a host of traffic lights that aren't working this morning. Reservoir Road and North East Road at Modbury, Ladywood Road and Montague Road at Modbury, Grand Junction Road and North East Road, Gillis Plains. In fact, which is you could drive the stretch. So there's obviously something that's gone awry there as a result of, you'd imagine, the weather conditions. 12 after 8. Let's go breaking at 8.
Well, yesterday was the maiden hit out by the former chief executive of Bank SA, Nick Reid, who earlier this year decided to leave the private sector and take up the job as head of Premier and Cabinet for Stephen Marshall. He took over from Jim McDowell, who returned to a job in the defence sector. And for those of you who have never had the pleasure of witnessing the raw excitement of a parliamentary estimates hearing, what it basically is a chance for the department heads, the chief mandarins, bureaucrats, head honchos of all of the departments to front up and get subjected to a sort of, Torquemada-style Spanish Inquisition of questions from opposition MPs, and get bowled a few nice, easy ones outside off by members of the government. Well, the two of the key areas that Labor sought to prosecute yesterday with Mr. Reid go to the heart of what is going to be a big part of the looming SA election campaign, and it was interesting because it gave a bit of an insight into the type of tactics the opposition is going to use as they prosecute these two cases. The first is what I think you can fairly describe as the surprisingly contentious proposal for a $700 million inner city basketball stadium, something which I'm sure the government thought was going to be a real vote winner, but has, in the minds of a lot of people, become a touchstone for whenever there's a crisis with ramping or emergency departments being crowded. People arc up about the amount of money that's involved. The second issue was the unilateral axing of the V8 supercars, which, despite the tourism department's claims about patronage, still had, thousands and thousands of people who loved it and plenty of hospitality businesses around town who relied on it as well. Well, on the basketball stadium, I'll just give you a bit of a sample of some of the evidence that was heard yesterday. Kaya Ma, the Labor MLC, chairs this estimates committee, and he asked Mr. Reid this opening question. In terms of the proposed inner city basketball stadium, what is the total cost estimated to be for that? Mr. Reid says, I believe it is approximately $700 million. Then the chair, approximately $700 million. Who did the work to come up with that figure? Nick Reid. I would have to take that on notice. Number of parties worked on that. Who were the parties? I'm not familiar with them. Who were the ones you are familiar with, Mr. Reid? I need to take it on notice because I'm not 100% sure. Then what is the estimated revenue forecast for the new stadium over its first 3 years of operation? I would have to take that on notice. I don't know. Then are you aware whether that work has been done at all? And he says, I'm aware that a lot of work with regards to the stadium is underway. I just don't know the answer to that question. Then there are questions about how much money is going to be generated by the new stadium. The answer to which is, I'll take that on notice and get back to you. Then answers along these lines. They're working on the business case. It is ultimately in the Premier's portfolio. The conclusion that Labor drew from this questioning was this. Again, so we are very clear, Mr. Reid, is it your evidence that there is a proposal to spend $700 million of taxpayers' money and you, as head of the public sector, don't know when it might start, don't know what the business case is, and have no idea what forecast revenue might be? Is that correct? Then, in terms of the supercars, a much more simple question here. The Clipsal 500 race, what events are replacing that? And how will they stack up against the income that the Clipsal 500 generated and the jobs that Clipsal generated? A much more simple answer from Mr. Reid here, which was, I'm not aware of any at the moment. Events SA is undertaking the review. I'm certainly happy to take that on notice, but I'm not aware of any at the moment. They're always hard, those things, because you've got questions coming at you left, right and centre. But if the intent of the head of Premier and Cabinet was to dispel any suggestion that the stadium is back of a beer coaster stuff and a bit of a thought bubble where the details will come afterwards, he probably didn't succeed. And again, in terms of the V8s, and we know that this is something that our listeners are massively fired up about still, there's nothing. The only one that Nick Reid mentioned in passing was Illuminate. Whatever that is.
I'm not... What's worse with the communication strategy failing there? I'm not sure what the number is we're meant to know that isn't the cost. So when it came to the Adelaide Oval, the rebuild there and the 525 million or whatever it was, the government always trumped, well, that would underpin this many jobs, this many hotel bed stays. There were all these other metrics that said, this is the good that's being done. What is it with regard to the stadium? The other component of it that they've got, when you're trying to sell a big spending initiative, beyond here's the figures you need to know that are not just the cost, where are your advocates? Are the hotels saying this is a great idea? City businesses coming out saying this is a great idea? Where are the advocates?
Yeah.
Who
are your champions in the private sector?
If you're selling something that's that big, you need both those things.
Yeah.
You need at least one. At the moment, all people know is it's a basketball stadium and it costs $700 million.
Yeah.
Good luck selling it in the absence of those other 2 points.
And the other thing too, I mean, I know you love basketball, Will.
I do. It's my favourite sport in the world.
Well, sadly, I think you're in a minority.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not, people are free to watch whatever sport they want.
Yep.
But it's not like footy and cricket, is it?
No, absolutely not. No.
And it doesn't have an Ian McLaughlin type person out there fighting the fight on behalf of the government, putting all of those points that you raised.
Yeah. Let's check traffic thanks to Dave Potter. Get a great end of financial year deal on used and executive-driven vehicles right now.
Got a severe weather warning current for the road today. Do take some extra care. Got a collision at Modbury, North East Road and Kelly Road. Kingswood, a collision there. 2 cars involved. Cross Road and Belair Road. Westbourne Park, traffic light malfunction there. Goodwood Road and Edward Street. And another traffic light malfunction at Christie's Down, Flaxmill Road and Elizabeth Road. Speeds reduced too this morning between Stirling and the tunnels. Speeds down to 80 k's. That is due to the weather. Winter is here, and with it the cold and wet weather. An UltraTune logbook service will ensure your car is safe in any condition. Search UltraTune to find a service centre near you. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowies Sport Show.
Our next guest is Adelaide CEO Tim Silvers. Tim, thanks for your time. $50,000 COVID breach, not ideal.
No, it wasn't a great week for the club last week. We were disappointed in our actions and we let ourselves down. We own that. We own the error, and it's an error from top to bottom of the club.
4 p.m. weekdays.
We've accepted a big penalty and we'll address it internally. We're a lot better than that, and we let ourselves down, unfortunately.
Rowies Sport Show on 5AA.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, we have specialised in commercial and residential property management. But above all, we specialise in people, helping to make life easy for property investors and the tenants of their properties. Everyone is treated with integrity and respect. That's the Lynn Andrews way. For commercial and residential property management, we are here to help. Visit lynnandrews.com.au.
Avanti Care. Avanti Care. It's important to remember because you may need to call on Avanti Care. It could be for physio treatment, occupational therapy, speech pathology, dietetics or podiatry. It's care delivered with purpose. That purpose might be to get you back to work, enjoying an active life with friends or family, or simply just getting you back to being you. Avanti Care. Real care, delivered with real purpose. Visit avanticare.com.au.
No one wants to spend their weekend in emergency. So if you hurt yourself on a Saturday or Sunday, Dr. Greg Keane says come and see SportsMed instead.
The doctors at our weekend injury clinic can treat any sporting or orthopaedic injuries right away. You won't have to wait all afternoon.
And a standard consult costs less than a private hospital emergency department, right?
Much less.
World-class care without the wait. SportsMed.
Start living life again after your injury.
Sportsmed.com.au.
You might think having thousands of pals is excessive.
But that's not what the team at Parafield Airport Liquor Store think, because that's how many they have. Sure, they might be made up of over 100 gins, over 200 whiskies, over 300 craft beers, and over 2,000 boutique wines. But they're some of the best pals you could have, and they're always looking for more, even if they are tricky to track down. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
It's the details that make the difference in Zip Track Outdoor Blinds by Country. Like the heat welding we use on the splines of our blinds instead of stitching. Heat welding permanently bonds the fabric together and can't rot or fail like stitching does, so your blinds look neater and last longer. Outdoor Zip Track blinds, made best by Country. Now let's make it for you. Visit countryblinds.com.au for a free measure and quote.
I'm Kate Cotty, the first woman to sail solo, non-stop and unassisted around the world. And if you're like me, and where you call home changes over time, FIVEaa offers a range of home insurance options to choose from, including house, apartment and village living.
Call FIVEaa on 13 50 50 for a quote today. FIVEaa. Get set, go.
FIVEaa is an authorised representative of AAI Limited, the product issuer. Limits, exclusions and conditions apply. Before buying this insurance, read the PDS. Contact us for a copy.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide. With Australia's largest tyre range, Bob Jane T-Marts will look after you with their best tyre price guarantee. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes after 8. Wuhan lab theory is the idea that COVID-19 was not, in fact, a byproduct of the natural evolution of viruses in the world, but rather there was man-made intervention in China. And for a long time, it's been pilloried as the thing of conspiracy theory. Well, that seems to have entirely changed in the past couple of days with a host of emails to and from Dr. Anthony Fauci in the US that reveals that right at the upper echelon of the United States COVID response, there was a view that there was something entirely suspect about COVID-19. The genomic sequence of COVID-19 didn't look like a naturally evolved virus. It looked like someone had made it deliberately, or at least that was the theory being offered in and around this email exchange by a group of people who at the time said, we need to do more work on this, and just days later said, this whole theory is a total conspiracy theory. Something very odd about the sequence of events there. Sherry Markson's the investigations writer of The Australian, who has been writing about Wuhan lab theory since it first came into being. Joins us on 5AA Breakfast now. Sherry, good morning to you.
Morning, Pembo.
That was Will, Shari. This is Pembo. How are you going?
Oh, hey, how are you going?
Yeah, we've been working together for so long, our voices have merged into one.
It works really well when one of us says something controversial or stupid.
Blame the other one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It wasn't me, it was the other guy.
So I wish I could do that. need a look-alike.
It might give you a bit of cover on social media with all those lefties up you for the rent for daring to criticise the likes of Anthony Fauci. But look, give our listeners, Shari, a bit of an in a nutshell account of what you've been working on, because you were out there on your own for a long time, and it now feels like a lot of other credible mainstream reporters like yourself have actually gone, you know what, there's something to this.
Look, this was treated, as you said, or as Will said, as a conspiracy theory early last year. And from the very start, it was a legitimate line of inquiry. This virus might have a natural origin. It might have made the natural zoonotic jump from animals to humans, or it could have been the result of gain-of-function research, genetic manipulation in a laboratory in Wuhan. That laboratory in Wuhan was specialising in that type of work. They have the world's largest collection of coronaviruses, of a database that was deleted, taken offline in September 2019, just before the outbreak. We saw this huge cover-up, not just around, the outbreak of the virus by China, but also around that laboratory, and the military went in and took over that laboratory. So there was always a reason to investigate and to suspect this. Added to that, there was the scientific inquiry that there have been scientists all along who've said there are unusual aspects of SARS-CoV-2 itself that point to potential genetic manipulation. That's something that is the subject of scientific debate, and some scientists disagree with that. But, you know, what we saw in the very early days is that there was this huge cover-up around that. And scientists who wanted to publish papers, very credible scientists like Nikolai Petrovsky at Flinders University, where you are in Adelaide, he met such resistance. He couldn't get his work published, even though he's a credible scientist, because there was this shutdown over any sort of anyone, whether it was a scientist or a journalist who questioned the natural origin. And so it's meant that it's taken 16 months before suddenly now Joe Biden has said we need intelligence agencies to investigate, where scientists have come out and signed a letter saying the lab leak needs to be taken seriously and there needs to be an inquiry. It's just taken such a long time before people have woken up to the fact that this might be either a lab creation or a natural virus that escaped from the lab.
What's the possible link to Anthony Fauci?
So Anthony Fauci is the top medical advisor on the coronavirus to the president in the US. And his agency, the NIH, has been funding gain-of-function research in China, at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. There was a ban on this type of research that the Obama administration implemented in 2014. Then in 2017, Anthony Fauci was the man personally responsible for lifting this ban. He didn't tell senior leadership in the White House that he was doing this. He had a junior meeting. This is what I've uncovered as part of the investigation for my book. He had a junior meeting with the Office of Science and Technology Policy in the White House, but never told anyone that he was lifting this ban on the highly controversial research. But even when the ban was going on, the money was still flowing through to China for gain-of-function coronavirus research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. I tracked down this paper that he wrote in 2012 when the Obama administration was debating whether to ban this research. And he writes in this paper, and it's extraordinary, he says that he thinks the benefits of the research outweigh the risk of even a pandemic.
That hasn't panned out very well. No. Passage of time? No. Hey, Shari, keep working on this because it's fascinating and, more importantly, important stuff that you're doing. Aside from being investigations writer for the Oz, you're a regular on Sky as well on Sundays, I think, Sunday nights.
Yeah, I've got my show on at 6 p.m. on Sunday. One of these days you'll come on at Penbo.
Yeah, no, I'm better in a non-visual medium. But thanks for the invites. Normally I'm busy getting school lunches made and getting the kids to bed. But look, I'd love to do it at some point, Shari. We've got something interesting to say, so we can live in hope of that ever happening. Shari Markson from The Australian and Sky, good on you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thanks.
29 minutes after 8, 822 is our number. You can text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line too. Dave Potter Honda brings us Fuel Watch. Petrol now $1.40 or below for most of Adelaide. Still most expensive in the eastern suburbs where it's $1.39. But if you shop around, you can do better. We've got a couple for you on West Terrace in the CBD, $1.33 at the OTR there. On Anzac Highway at Crowder Park, $1.34. $1.24 on the corner of Findon and Crittenden Road, $1.24 also at the OTR and Bridge Road in Paraka, and $1.21 on Semaphore Road in Exeter.
Adelaide Cabaret Festival is here, June 11 to 26 at Adelaide Festival Centre. Book your tickets now for a spectacular program directed by Hollywood star cabaret royalty Alan Cumming. Adelaide Cabaret Festival will thrill you with song, comedy, art, magic, trivia, and all sorts of cabaret delights. Warm up your winter and experience the best cabaret talent from across the country. Your banquet awaits. Book now at adelaidecabaretfestival.com.au.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Showers and 13 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Physio Extra, your one-stop shop. Physio, Pilates, podiatry, massage, dietetics. For appointments, visit physioextra.com.
There are a string of blackouts across the metro area this morning. The biggest is affecting properties in Valley View, Modbury Heights and Modbury North. The power should be back on by 10:30. A severe weather warning remains in place for parts of SA today. SES crews were called out to more than 100 incidents over the past 24 hours, mainly due to strong winds. More than 25 mils of rain fell at Mount Lofty, 23 mils at Mount Gambier and 13 in the city. David O'Shaughnessy from the SES says they're not expecting it to be as busy today.
We have found this morning a few people waking up to some damage at their properties. This event has been a great opportunity for people to prepare their homes for winter and understand the risks of the wind and the rain moving forward into what is our busiest operational period.
Australian Federal Police have smashed an underworld crime ring using an app to trick alleged criminals into informing detectives of their plans. Operation Ironside has been running for 3 years. More than 3,500 kilos of drugs and $35 million in cash has been seized and dozens of firearms confiscated. More than 100 people have been charged, including 6 men in SA. Police raiding an alleged safe house in Adelaide run by the Rebels outlaw motorcycle gang. It's unclear if 2 car fires this morning are linked. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says the first vehicle was torched at Elizabeth Downs just after 3.
Police and fire crews were called to Kavanagh Street after reports of a car on fire, and they found that car in the driveway of a property. Police and fire crews managed to extinguish the blaze, but the car has been completely destroyed.
Another car fire has been reported on Howards Road at Beverley. A woman has been reported for excessive drink driving. The 60-year-old has been busted more than 7 times the legal limit in the hills. Her car went down an embankment on Old Belair Road at Belair yesterday. When breath tested, she allegedly returned a reading of 0.371. The Huntfield Heights resident will be summoned to front court at a later date. More South Aussies can roll up their sleeves for the COVID jab from today. The Pfizer jab is now available to the 40 to 49-year-olds. Bookings can be made on the SA Health website. People living with autism are being offered additional support. The Autism Connect hotline will provide a one-stop shop to those living with the condition and their families. Families and Social Services Minister Anne Ruston says the service provides expert information in a variety of formats.
The resources are available in a range of different mechanisms, whether it be going on to a web chat, picking up the phone, Googling things online, to make sure that we have a number of ways that people can get access to the tools.
Scientists have revealed details about the largest dinosaur ever found in Australia. The dinosaur stood at 6.5 metres tall and was up to 30 metres long. It was found on a property in southwest Queensland. Paleontologist Dr Scott Hucknall says the bones were first discovered back in 2007.
When we originally discovered it, we gave it the nickname Cooper, after the Cooper country, the Cooper Creek out here in Western Queensland. Over the years, we've compared this dinosaur to other dinosaurs in Australia and across the globe, and it puts us in the big leagues. The big leagues of the gigantic sauropod dinosaurs, the largest that ever lived.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Who loves South Australia as much as you do? Fluorio Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it.
And Tom Wren, you've got some breaking news.
Yeah, we certainly do, and it regards tennis. World number 2 Naomi Osaka has pulled out of another tournament, this time a grass court event in Berlin, which is due to start next week. Osaka pulled out of the French Open last week, citing mental health issues. Meantime, Novak Djokovic has survived a scare in the 4th round of the French Open, coming from 2 sets down to beat Italian teenager Lorenzo Musetti. The world number 1 says it's clear his young opponent was struggling to deal with the length of the match before retiring late in the 5th set.
The end of the 3rd, the beginning of the 4th, I saw that he's struggling physically. Obviously, that gave me even more motivation, I guess, to try to apply more pressure on him.
To football, and Port Adelaide is set to receive confirmation of its Thursday night fixture a little later today. The match against Geelong has been in some doubt because of the 7:10pm time slot, but it's set to get the all clear later today. The Socceroos have had yet another win in World Cup qualifying. The Aussies this morning beat Chinese Taipei 5-1. The Socceroos have all but assured qualification to the next round of the World Cup after that win. 3 players made their debut, including Dennis Jeanroux, who says the experience has been a vital learning curve as he also vies for Olympic selection.
To come into camp, learn off the older boys, tonight's another learning experience for me and the team, and really looking forward to what the future holds.
In Super Netball, the Melbourne Vixens are relocating to Queensland for at least the next 4 weeks, and Casper Ware has been crowned the Sydney Kings MVP for this season. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Get a great end of financial year deal on used and executive driven vehicles now at Dave Potter.
Got a severe weather warning current. Roads are very wet and slippery today. Take some extra care. Look out for a smash at Modbury this morning. Northeast Road and Kelly Road. Truck into a Stobie pole there. Power outage due to an accident. Heavy traffic too. Also traffic malfunctions in a few areas, including Westbourne Park, Goodwood Road and Edward Street. Christie's Down, Flaxmill Road and Elizabeth Road. And also Gillis Plains. Lights playing up there. Grand Junction Road and Northeast Road. Speeds reduced on the freeway between Stirling and the tunnels there down to 80 due to the weather. At Professionals Real Estate, they believe the true value of any home is the life inside. For a free Professionals property appraisal, visit professionals.com.au today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Switch and save on car service and repairs with Service Now Pay Later options. Call 1300 Automasters.
And in breaking news, the daily COVID figures have just been released in Victoria. There are 2 new cases today and both are linked to outbreaks. Showers and 13 today, a morning shower or 2 tomorrow 14, Thursday cloudy and 16. Right now it's 8 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
I'm Kathy Nagel, the Chief Executive of Western Hospital, Henley Beach. Western Hospital is proud to offer accessible and relevant healthcare services to our community. We have a 24-hour intensive care unit that is available to patients of the hospital. It has been recently licensed as a Level 2 ICU, ensuring we can manage and treat more dependent patients. Western Hospital, your hospital that cares. For a full list of doctors who visit and consult at Western Hospital, call 8159 1200 or visit westernhospital.com.au.
Now, we'll be hearing a lot about South Australia's hidden gems, so if you're feeling the urge for that regional road trip, make sure you get there and back safely with help from Automasters.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be driving to the Clare Valley and get halfway there and think, oh, that's right. One of the tyres isn't quite right, or I should have checked my something.
You think the Horrocks Highway's bad to drive on? Wait till you walk it.
No, it's like driving on one of those vibrating chairs, isn't it? Now, look, Automasters, these guys are guns. They do it all. They'll perform expert safety checks and provide you with a vehicle condition report, and it's all there in black and white.
With a 45-year history and servicing over 2,700 cars each week, Automasters have grown to be one of the most trusted alternatives to the dealers for your servicing and repairs and logbook servicing without voiding your warranty.
That's right, and they're all over the state. Automasters has a lot of the regional areas covered, with Victor Harbour, Barossa, Murray Bridge and Mount Barker.
Automasters, keeping you and your car safe on the road. Call 1300 Automasters.
If you make a living out of being a handy person, it's
22 minutes to 9 behind closed doors is not too far away. Also, we're speaking with the director of the Adelaide Cabaret Festival and coming. It all starts on Friday, June 11, runs through to the almost the end of the month, through to the 26th. Chatted with him a couple of times in the lead-up. He's now here in Adelaide. That's been a bit problematic over the COVID period, but
good to see him here.
It can all start up and happen, which we're eternally grateful for living in this part of the world.
What about Victoria? 2 cases. Yep, that's it. Got to keep the entire state locked down.
2 cases in quarantine.
In quarantine.
So there's no different now from returned travellers who have it.
And all of the apparent alarm yesterday about the 11, they're all in quarantine too, and they're all known. They know everything about them.
Ludicrous the way that was released yesterday.
The word that has been used by a great mate at Samri a year ago on our show, catastrophising. They've mastered the art of doing that in Victoria, haven't they?
If you want to read something to take your mind off it, just grab the cover, the sleeve of the Advertiser this morning, because it contains the most compelling piece of writing you'll see on crime reporting. I honestly started reading it and Googled to see if it was an advertisement for some sort of TV program that had been cleverly positioned as a series of articles. It's not. It details some of the most amazing work busting crime globally that you'll ever likely to read. And it's been put together by Ellen Winnett, the senior journalist at News Corp, who's written all the articles, done all the interviews, and put it together. And he joins us now. Ellen, good morning to you.
Good.
Are you there, Ellen?
I am here.
Now, this is a stunning bit of work, but what an operation. Tell us, let's sort of start where it all began with this app and the role of the IT guy within the AFP. He's become the sort of Elliot Ness in this whole thing, hasn't he?
Don't you love the IT guy? So he's on the beers with the FBI overseas, and they wouldn't it be great if we could get our own encrypted app? into the hands of the crooks and that we could actually read it. And the Aussie guy, the operative, goes, I'm going to go home and have a crack at that. And he does. So it's 10 o'clock at night. He's sitting on the couch in the lounge room of his house in Canberra, and he's working on it. He's got 2 phones, and he sends a message from phone A to phone B, and he sees the message come up on the laptop, and he's like, I've done it. I've got it.
Looking at the supplement now, wrapping around today's Tizer as well, you've got the whole chain of text. So once they'd set this up, it was almost like, put your feet up, just come into work and just monitor these buggers.
Well, I don't know if it was that simple. I mean, we are talking in the end about 25 million messages. So they actually had to then, it got so big and so fast that they're like, right, what do we do now? So they actually invented some artificial intelligence programs that could interrogate these messages as they were coming in. Wow. And as a result of that, that's how they were able to intervene when they were picking up the murder plots, and they were actually able to stop 21 separate executions being carried out.
It's clever the way where they managed to get these cracked phones into the hands of criminals who then became their advocates. They started distributing it around saying, we've got this system that operates outside of the normal realms of telecommunications. It's safe, it's secure, you can do all your business on here. And clearly everyone got it and it became entirely fashionable. The thing that I'm most amazed about is these systems were in place across multiple countries around the world. How did they manage to coordinate doing things like making arrests and stopping executions or foiling drug trades without tipping off people in various countries that they had an in on their communications method?
I think we might hear more about that at 9:30 today when the Commissioner is giving a press conference with the FBI and the Prime Minister. So we should get to the bottom of that then. But look, raids have been happening overnight. Like you're starting to see now on the wires, you're seeing what's happening in New Zealand, you're seeing what's happening in Germany. I've had a look this morning, and the app Anom is still appears to be live. You can still see it. I don't know how much longer that'll be operational.
Who actually invented the app? Was it just some private IT mob?
Well, I don't know. It's someone who's somehow connected with the FBI. So the FBI bought the encrypted device and the platform to the table as such, and it was the Australian Federal Police techie, the operative, who found the way to get into it and to be able to access the messages.
Ellen, you got any ballpark figures or theories on how many people around the world might get arrested as a result of this operation?
We're minimum of hundreds. I suspect it'll be more than that. Certainly there are more than 11,000 devices that were out there in the underworld. Now, of course, this is a very small app compared to the mainstream apps that we all use every day, WhatsApp or Signal, which is perfectly legal to use any of these. So it's only small. I think the value of it is that what police say is that every single thing that was said on it was criminals talking to criminals. So if you're listening to, you remember your old phone tapping days, and the police are listening to phone taps, and 98% of it is talking about what you have for lunch and who's picking up the kids. There was none of that on this. This was all business.
The thing I like most about this story, it's a win for the geeks. I like the picture on page 11 of the guy in his sort of bog standard sort of flanny shirt sitting there on his laptop, and all the blokes who've been caught, they're the kind of guys who would have kicked sand in his face when he was doing computer studies in year 11 and, going off to the IT lab, and all these steroid munching buffed blokes are now facing a long time in the clink. It's a win for dweebs everywhere. And it's great journalism, Ellen. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Ellen Winnett, News Corp Senior Journo.
Make sure you read it. If you start, you won't stop. It's just so compelling.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's just amazing. It's real life. 15 to 8. Alan coming from the Cabaret Festival in just a moment. We'll go behind closed doors too, but first we'll check traffic thanks to Dave Potter. Get a great end of financial year deal on used and executive driven vehicles right now at Dave Potter.
Take it easy on the roads with that severe weather warning today. Quite a few accidents. One at Modbury, a smash at North East Road and Kelly Road. Truck into a Stobie pole there. Power outage due to that accident and nearby traffic lights playing up. Another collision at Blair Athol. Semi V2 cars, Grand Junction Road and Main North Road, and lights playing up at Christie's speeds down Flaxmill Road and Elizabeth Road, and speeds reduced on the freeway between Stirling and the tunnels down to 80 k's due to the weather. Get more time with Woolworths direct to boot. Shop online and Woolworths will handpick your order, then place your shopping directly into your boot. Select locations, T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
If you make a living out of being a handy person, it's handy to know that Rollerco has got you covered when it comes to parts for sliding doors and windows. Actually, I'd say you're more than covered. We stock over 3,000 different spare parts, which means you can pop in, get what you need, and get back to it. No messing around. Time's money, right? Rollerco. We'll get you rolling. 26 Jacobson Crescent, Holden Hill. Just 15 minutes from the city.
Jane pops into ACH Group to have a cuppa and a chat with exercise physiologist Jack about health services across ACH Group.
What are the benefits of a great exercise program?
Exercise helps strengthen limbs, it helps improve joint stability, this can reduce morning aches, but it can also improve function. A main benefit is it helps reduce your falls risk, helps improve your balance.
To find out how ACH Group can support you to live a good life, visit achgroup.org.au.
What's the trusted Australian off-roading brand made for Australian conditions? TJM. They know the South Australian bush because it's their backyard, just as it's yours. So who better to give the best advice on what equipment you need? Whether you're a novice or an experienced off-roader, see the TJM team. They stand by their products and have been doing it since 1973. Get into TJM today and get off-road tomorrow. Nailsworth and Clovelly Park, tjmsa.com.au.
It's incredible. Over 75% of tickets in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery have already been sold. Don't miss your chance to live the dream in this fully furnished Scott Salisbury home on the Esplanade at South Brighton that comes with $1 million cash. There are over 15,000 incredible prizes to win, including luxury vehicles, local getaways and so much more. Get your tickets today at homelottery.com.au and join the fight for cures, better treatments and improved care. Licence M13989.
Get in here. It's Sheeds. We don't have the time to mess around. We can't afford any more downtime and we need a result. It's about trust, and for hydraulic hose repairs, Ryco 24/7 are the ones. They'll get to you wherever you are. Their vans are on the road with fully qualified repairers and they are supported by that other great South Australian team, BL Shipway, who I've known for over 30 years. Call Ryco 24/7 on 133247 or visit ryco247.com.au.
Don't just get a forklift. Don't miss the Toyota Forklift Stacks and Jacks sale. Get hot deals across a range of new Toyota walkie stackers and electric pallet jacks. Plus receive a free Caltex Star Cash card up to the value of $500. The Toyota Forklift Stacks and Jacks sale. On now. Call 1-800-425-438 or toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get a Toyota Forklift. T's and C's apply. Private buyers only. Offer ends August 31.
What's on your bucket list? Parachuting? Climbing Everest? Swimming with sharks? There's one thing that should be on everyone's bucket list. A will and estate plan. A will, power of attorney and advanced care directive speak for you when you can't. They look after you and your loved ones. A will and estate plan drawn up by Donlan Lawyers is peace of mind for everyone. For wills and estate planning, contact Donlan Lawyers or visit donlanlawyers.com. Put it on your bucket list.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide.
Buy 3, get 1 free and instant cash back on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
11 to 9 behind closed doors in just a moment. But first, ahead of the Cabaret Festival kicking off on Friday night, it's very nice to be able to speak to our next guest in person. I think we've done it 3 times before over the phone. But Alan Cumming live in the 5AA Breakfast studio with us.
Hello.
Who has revealed he might be the most quarantined man in Australia.
Yeah, it's my 4th. I probably am.
Yeah,
actually,
I think you might hold the record. So you got
Wow,
out on the
look at me.
weekend. What have you got a secret for anyone who has to go through a 2-week quarantine?
Have lots of things planned. Have lots of, have a schedule of stuff. Like for months I've been saying, I'll do that in quarantine.
Right.
I just have to lots
So
of
planning a
things to do.
festival is a good idea to have something to do. Yeah.
Lots of that. Did a lot of podcasts, did a lot of interviews, did a lot of sort of stuff like that. So yeah, it's good to have things to get up for.
So four lots of quarantine, 8 weeks in quarantine, almost 2 months of your life spent locked in a hotel, or one time it was at home.
I did one at home, and then 2 other times it was in a Airbnb and I'd rented, and then one time in a hotel. Yeah.
We spoke with you previously in New York, and we were talking then, I think, it was about the difficulties in the COVID world of bringing a festival together.
Yes.
Did it feel surreal when you finally got to be on the ground here, and you're in the month that it's all sort of taking place, and it must sort of...
It felt totally weird. I mean, there's so many things were weird about it. Looking out the window from my hotel room and seeing people just walking around without masks and everything, that's surreal enough. And then I'd see myself on buses and the tram, and as it went past my window, that was hilarious too. It was like this whole world that I was.
So the virtual version of you could leave.
It was really weird. It was like kind of the Truman Show or something.
Well, I got to say, last year we had sort of with a heavy heart talking to Julia Zamiro about organising a festival that ended up. I think parts of it was streamed on Microsoft.
Sort of virtual thing.
No substitute, is it, for the real thing?
No, I think what's been interesting about the whole, many things about the whole COVID thing, but for me, I realised that, going to the theatre, as well as being a performer in the theatre in any kind, it's a community activity. You need to feel other people around you laughing and reacting, and as a performer, you need actually that connection with people. So to all these, streaming things, I think it's been great, and people have sort of pivoted and sort of been very resourceful, but actually it's no match for the real thing, and so I'm really excited. I mean, / also terrified. It's like the first time in the longest time ever probably I've not actually performed in front of a live audience. I did it. I was doing a play in London when it all happened, and with Daniel Radcliffe, and that was in like early March of 2020.
And did it cut off your run?
Yes. Yeah, just the last 2 weeks.
Right.
So we just went one Saturday night. We kind of knew it might be happening because it was getting really, and also it was a play. It was a Beckett play, Endgame, about a plague. It was about, it was so weird be doing this play about the effects of a plague, watching the audience. One night we went on, and all the front row had masks on. We're like, and then then suddenly
really getting into character.
Seats. Well, yeah, we were just like we're prime contenders for getting it, being coughed on by 1,000 people from all over the world every night, but we're both fine. And then just suddenly seeing empty seats, and so that was the last time I did it, and then we finished one night. And Dan said, well, if that was the last show, then it was a pretty good show. And that was indeed the last show. It was cancelled the next day.
I always feel something wonderfully democratic about the Cabaret Festival in Adelaide. There's something for everyone. It sounds like a cliche, but it actually plays out that way. What just the breadth of styles and genres that you've got on. Give us a couple for our listeners to think about.
Well, I mean, that's the great thing about the form of cabaret, I think, that people forget. It's more than just people singing with a feather boa on. It's like there's so there's shows about mental health. There's one about the Ern Malley literary scandal. We've got Johnny Young is back with the 50th anniversary of Johnny Young's Talent Time. He's actually coming to Adelaide.
Old Talent Time.
Yeah, old Talent Time. It's slightly older Talent Time. I'm so excited about that. And then there's a magic show with James Galeas that's open this week. There's a man who paints with his penis called Brent Ray Fraser.
Sensational.
I haven't seen that before.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you say, Will.
It is something to behold.
Yeah.
I've actually been painted by...
Literally and metaphorically.
Yes, it is. And always, everything you can imagine.
You're being very modest. You're in it too, Alan.
I'm also in it, yes. I'm also in it. I do my... So the late night thing in the Spiegel tent is called Club Coming, and that's my sort of... I have a bar in New York called Club Coming, so I'm sort of trying to recreate the atmosphere of that, and that's very, I DJ, and then we have guests. It's like a dance party with performance, I call it.
Yeah, right.
And everyone, it's a sort of the chill out, everyone lets go a bit and have guests from the festival. And then on the very last day of the festival, I'm doing my new cabaret show. It's called Alan Cummings Not Acting His Age, and then I take that around Australia afterwards.
Fantastic.
Well, it's got the sort of, decadent and what's that word? Bacchanalian, like the idea of pleasure.
Hope so. Yeah, bacchanalian.
Good timing where we're placed in history right now to really just cut loose and let our hair down for a change. I think
enjoying the pleasures of the grape.
Yeah, exactly.
Certainly, we'll do that. 11th to the 26th. So it's Friday night right through till just about the end of the month. You get tickets at Bass. Alan, great to have you here and great to see you in the flesh.
Properly, yeah.
Good to meet you too.
Yeah.
If you're an employer and want South Australian people, this is what you can get when you post a job nationally. Lots of interest, but it's overwhelming. But if you're after a local, you can now also post to a free South Australian job board. And if you need help, Recruit Smart will assist you to filter and find the best people faster. RecruitSmart.com.au, a South Australian family business. It's quick and easy to post jobs online. RecruitSmart.com.au, helping you find the best people faster.
Roller blinds by Country are custom made to be the best, right down to the details. Like the stronger aluminium top tubes we use. Bigger, stiffer top tubes don't sag, so Country can create wider span single blinds. The result is stronger, streamlined blinds for a cleaner, designer look in your home. Roller blinds made best by Country. Now let's make it for you. Visit countryblinds.com.au for a free measuring quote.
When you've been around for over a century, you know a thing or two. And Business SA and Ray White have almost 300 years between them. So when an alliance is formed between Business SA and Ray White Business Sales SA, they're bringing all their experience to your business, making sure it's in top shape, whether you're buying, selling, or somewhere in between. Get in touch with the experts, Business SA and Ray White Business Sales SA on 8300 0000. That's 8300 0000.
Well, now, I'll tell you what, this is a labour of love doing this live read. Know a bit about this wine, and it is sensational. The Bogan and the Old Bastard, they're not cuss words, they're actually names of quality wines. You'd be forgiven for thinking I was making a crass joke, but in fact, these are the cult wines of Kaesler Wines. With their cellar door smack bang in the middle of the Barossa, Kaesler Wines make some serious wines, albeit with irreverent names.
I don't think any of this is news to South Australians. This place is sensational. It's not all they do. They're also champions of regenerative farming. It's something they've been doing for more than 20 years, but only just got a name for it.
That's right. And look, it's all about leaving the land in better condition than it was found, and it's what their winemakers and the viticulturalists are obsessed with. It is more than sustainability. It's about improving the environment.
Next time you're in the Barossa, visit the home of the Bogan and Old Bastard and the champions of regenerative farming. It's Kaesler Wines.
Whether you're a sparky, a chippy, a fiery or a bikey, whether they call you curly, tubby or tiny, whether next door means a few feet or a few miles, we know the weather's harsh in South Australia. But Olympic Industries carports, verandas and sheds are tougher than most. And if they're strong enough in the country, they'll be strong enough in the city. For a limited time, you can save heaps across the entire range. Olympic Industries end of financial year sale. Built to last.
Here's your cuppa, Bev.
Thanks, Barry. Looks like the neighbours are clearing out early.
Bev and Barry are grey nomads. They love a roadside campsite, a cuppa in the morning, and watching the other adventurers come and go.
Hey, Barry, looks like they're getting pretty close to that tree.
Oh, they'll need to visit Walker Crash Repairs, Bev. You can always relax on the road with Walker Crash Repairs, an RAA-approved crash repairer for caravans and cars.
With Australia's largest tyre range, Bob Jane T-Marts will look after you with their best tyre price guarantee. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
2 to 9. It's all from us on this Tuesday morning. To take us out, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, Interstate Freight Distribution, Warehousing and Local Adelaide Couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64. It's behind closed doors.
And when we get behind closed...
13.95, Adelaide's 5AA. This is the Saturday Sports Show. KG and Cornsey.
Hi folks, welcome to the Saturday Sports Show. Graham Corns with you. And why are you clapping, kid?
Because we haven't had a stuff up on the panel for 4 weeks. Well done, Stud.
Yes, thank you.
Well done, Stully.
There's still a lot I don't know about how things work.
I wouldn't doubt that, Stully.
For instance, later on today, Josh Sampson out in the producer's booth will dump one of our callers.
Really, Stully?
Yes, and I should get really upset that he sees fit to dump somebody when I wasn't going to, and who the hell does he think he is? I don't know, but I'll soon tell him. But I'm not going to because...
Why is that, Stud?
Because I'll be more upset by the fact that we've been broadcasting from these studios for 17 years now.
Yes.
And I didn't know there was a dump button out there.
Unbelievable.
I mean, where have I been?
Beats the juice out of me, Stud.
I must have been just walking around with my head up my arse.
Yes, that is true, considering there are single
single-celled amoeba on Saturn that knew there was a dump button out there, Stud. Now, the Crows need to explain their behaviour on that plane back from Sydney.
Oh, what the hell were they thinking?
Well, I don't think they were thinking.
Well, if this is true that they weren't wearing their masks, then they should have the book thrown at them.
Yes, they should. But what really makes me angry is not the Crows players risking other people's health with a deadly virus by flouting the rules and thinking they're better than everybody else, but it's the person who took the photo and then leaked it to the press.
Really?
What a dobber.
But Starley...
A little snitch.
Well, I don't know about that.
Everybody knows you shouldn't be a dobber.
Really, Studley?
Because nobody likes a dobber.
How old are you, Studley? 7?
No, I just don't agree with dobbing.
So you would rather they had said nothing and let the Crows spread disease?
Well, it's better than being a dibby dobber.
So, Studley, if you saw a bank being robbed, you wouldn't ring the police?
Yes. Well, no. If
you saw someone being assaulted in Rundle Mall, you'd keep it to yourself, Stud.
Well, no, that's different.
If someone doing something wrong, Studley, I would have thought it's your duty as a citizen to dob them in.
But it's not that serious. It's a bunch of footballers, and everybody knows that footballers are just brainless
It's all right, Studley. Josh dumped you.
Thanks, Josh.